Okay, being 6:34, let's open the Tuesday, April 27th meeting. And I'll start by looking for a motion to waive the reading of the remote reading.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Only discussion I've got, Norm, is that can we push, since the FICOM's about done with their meetings, to maybe our next meeting in May, have it at the senior center?
Also move on that.
I don't know, Dave, you want to look into that as when the time comes?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, roll call vote. Dick,
Aye.
Marilyn,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Norm, aye. And next we have minutes.
I had a couple of suggestions on the minutes.
I move to accept the minutes of April 13th, 2021.
I have a couple of suggestions, Dick.
Well, if you second it, then we go. With the,
Okay, I'll second, and then I will just.
Okay, is there any discussion?
Yes. On one suggestion is that Tamika could put numbers on the pages if it's not too difficult. The second is that on page 4, which is the last one from the end, under the DLTA grants, it's the 1, 2, 3, 4th topic down. The planning board office on behalf of the planning board applied for 2 projects. I'd like to add in a sentence or add in a phrase that states they were approved by the CMRPC. I think it just clarifies it a little bit.
Okay.
And then
Tamika,
pardon?
Yep, I
Tamika,
can.
you got that?
Yep, I got that.
Okay.
In the next one down, the 1, 2, 3, 4th line, to eliminate where it says where 1 does not currently exist, because that's repeated in the next line.
Marilyn, I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Okay, under LPA hours, the 4th line down, it says Dave proposed using these hours to work with CMRPC on developing an accessory bylaw, period there, end of sentence. And delete, it says where 1 does not currently exist, because the next line down says, but the town does not currently offer this option.
Yeah, it is kind of repetitive.
Okay, I got it.
That's it.
I had a couple, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Under the page 2, topic 38 of the Bigelow, 4th sentence down, Mr. Bradford indicated that they may just leave things as is. Well, I think they agreed that they need to get a site plan review for a common driveway.
Repeat that on page 2.
Actually,
If that
it's on
could be maybe
page,
struck, that'd be great.
whereabouts on page 2?
Page 2, the 4th line down. So it says here that Mr. Bradford indicated that they may just leave things as is. Well, I thought that they agreed that they needed site plan review and that they would pursue that for common driveway.
Well, however, it says Mr. Bradford indicated they may leave things as is. What does that mean?
As I recall, Mr. Bradford said they weren't certain if they were going to do a driveway or not. But that's why I did put in the line up above that Dave advised that it would have to happen, site plan review would have to happen if they were going to.
I think unless they take the wall down to get to the property on the street of 30 of Bigelow, they have to use the existing way in, which is currently being used to service the entire lot. So I think they have to use that as is, not as is, but under a site plan review. So maybe just strike it and leave it as indicated above that that's required. That's it on that one. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah.
Then the last page, restaurants and breweries. You have Bushy Lane as the address, but that's not correct. It wasn't Bushy Lane. We're talking about some other street.
Was it not, Brintnal?
I think it was Brintnal. I
It was Brintnal, yeah.
apologize. Yeah, I had something else for Bushy Lane and it must have been stuck in my head. I'll fix that now.
Great, thank you.
And for some reason or other, on the first page, fourth line down, the road to be 229 feet. If anybody's been up Bigelow Road, it's more than 229 feet. But I do remember him saying that, but it is wrong.
Yeah, according to the Mylar, the entire length is 2429 on the center line from the site to Palmagussit.
2429?
Yep.
Let's make that change then, please.
Although you're quoting somebody.
Yes, but wasn't it his map that Dave just looked at?
Yeah, I just got that off the Mylar.
Right. And he's the
Dick,
engineer.
if I may, he was referencing to a plan that the DPW had when they had done a survey back in 2003, I think it was. And that's where he had obtained the length of the road. When you were discussing that it wasn't showing it in its completeness.
Yes, and what he had quoted was wrong.
Okay.
Not quite sure how we correct this.
Well, he's stating it. That's,
Yeah.
he explained it. So you could say, excuse me, Dick, you could say the road is actually 200, 2,000, whatever.
According to his plan.
Yeah, I think just adding in that sentence after the 229 feet.
Or you could say the board noted, because we didn't
Yeah.
discuss it.
Right.
The board noted that the road is actually, whatever it is, I forgot already.
2429.
Right.
Yeah, Dick, didn't I remember right that he said he got that from a measurement that Carl had done a while back?
Yeah, and I have no idea what they were talking about.
Yeah, I don't either, but I guess the question is, if we wanted to check on it, it'd be a question for Chief Buckley to dig out. I mean, yeah, there's got to be a document somewhere.
I also talked to Anita, and she had noted it on her book of roads up there that it was like he had it on there. It didn't show it complete. And she made a quotation, a little notation on the thing, I should say, that in the future they're gonna have to fix it. She has no idea why it was like that.
My gut feeling, and again, I'm not a DPW chief, but do you think they had that there because they need lengths for Chapter 90 money for repairs on on lengths of roads?
Tim, could I offer a suggestion?
Or
He explained, according to the latest information from a survey done, et cetera, that the length, or no, I lost it, but just say, mention what he was quoting.
Marilyn, that's a good point. Just basically, the information he gave us is the best that we had, unless we checked with the DPW, and I don't think that's our job.
Utility length, according to his information.
But according to his ANR, he had the correct number down on that thing.
I did state in there where he was saying he got that information from.
Yeah, it does say the 203 determining survey done.
Well,
And then he said it's too long to show on the map, so.
kind of interesting, because I do know at some time when Gary was DPW chief, he did go hunting for extra roads. And I'm pretty sure he did make some corrections.
Well, it states that he said that was his information. Do we need to correct it?
Let's put it this way. Is it significant to the approval of the ANR?
Good point.
If it's
I don't
on
think-
the ANR, I'm okay with it.
I think we have to, if I may, I think it's difficult because even though the information may be wrong, I think for us to amend what somebody actually said, we could kind of be walking a fine line. Do you know what I mean? Of
Yeah.
actually changing what was said, even though it wasn't correct.
Yeah.
That was,
That's why
that was
I like what we
I had.
quoted it. Board noted, road length 2429.
So we leave his words alone. We just put a note below it saying the board thought it was something else, and just as a note in the minutes.
Correct.
Yeah.
With that.
Yep, that's what I did.
Okay. Anything else on the minutes? Hearing none. Roll call vote on acceptance of the April 13th minutes. Dick,
Aye.
Marilyn,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Norm, I. Okay, on to the next. We next have an A&R for Brice Lemon Estates. Dave, did the paperwork get up to town hall?
Yes, we have the paperwork. We do have a check for 400, so if you could just check the fee once we get to the plan, that'd be great.
All right, this is where I got some questions just to make me understand what I'm looking at.
I was just wondering, Tim, do you think it might be prudent if the applicant could just explain what they're trying to do before we go to questions?
That's what I was going to ask, Dave.
Answer in the meantime.
So,
Rick?
hi, this is Clee from, 87 Main Street. As far as the A&R goes, it was pointed out on the review comments by Carl Hulkren that the driveway of the pump station encroached onto the neighbor's property, lot 66R. Through an agreement with the neighbors, we did an A&R plan, and we encompassed the driveway and enough room for put in the fence that Joe Buckley wanted. And the customers reviewed it and saw it, and everybody approved it and signed off on it. So basically, this takes away that, and it eliminates the need of an easement, because if it's an easement, then it's their property, and then there has to be insurance and this, that, and the other thing, and so it just worked out better to do an A&R plan. There's enough room in the back. All I had to do was alter a little bit of the open space, which there's mountains of open space extra there. It still has 120 feet at the building line. The lot meets all the requirements of area and frontage. So it solved all the problems, basically.
And may I interject my,
Yes, of course.
how come the north is pointing in the wrong direction?
I'll have to ask Julian that tomorrow, unless he's listening in.
That's a $200 deduct on Bill.
You bet it is.
Well, I will fix that if that's the case.
There he is.
So,
Mylar's already done and stamped in and everything.
I thought it was a good representation of what you were speaking about.
Thank you.
Now, the fee.
Norm's the expert on the fee.
No, I'm not going to pretend to be.
Norm, I'm going to make a suggestion, which is going to shock Clee to death. But since this was for benefit of the town, to make sure we had everything that Joe wanted, can I make a motion to exclude an A&R fee because this was in the benefit of the town?
Well, you may.
And
It's also to the benefit of a homeowner as well. I mean,
Yeah,
we collected a fee for this, and
yeah, that's the reason why I was doing it, Dave, is because we're helping out Joe by getting him driveway access. We're also helping him out with fences for the safety portion. So I think this is more of a benefit to the town than to the homeowner. So that's the reason why I'm making a motion to exclude A&R fees.
I agree.
I normally would agree, but the town's hurting for money.
Yeah.
That's because of that stupid growth bylaw, but I'm not going to say anything.
What growth bylaw? Craig,
No
you
growth
overran
bylaw.
that.
The FICOM chairman's not here, so I can do that without getting hit.
Okay, we have a motion. I don't think I heard a second.
Second,
Any further discussion?
Maybe we should figure out how much money we're giving up first.
That could actually take a little while.
No. All right, I'll rescind that.
Okay. I'm not going to get into the complications of it, but anyway. Okay. Anything further? We have a motion to read the A&R fee. Roll call. Dick,
aye.
Marilyn,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Norm, aye.
Oh, thank you for that. That was nice.
Now we need a motion to endorse the A&R.
I so move
With correction.
A&R.
And I'll second that with corrections.
Okay. Any discussion on this one?
Just a correction, that's all.
Yeah, and I just noticed, Dick, the locus map has the north in the right direction. It's the detail that's got it flipped.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything further? Again, roll call. Dick,
Aye.
Marilyn,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Norm, aye.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'd like to make one other comment. That solves all the outstanding comments on the road acceptance. Is that right?
Yeah, I believe that's correct.
That's the last one, so we're 100% now.
Holy Kamal, it's 2 weeks before the meeting. This is
It's
unusual.
unbelievable.
I'm just being a smart aleck.
No, I know. I'm agreeing with you.
Okay, next we have an A&R on Kenwood Drive.
Yeah.
Before we go any further, I believe lot 6D is not correct.
Yeah.
Why is that?
1.4 something acres. I can't quite read it.
4.8.
All you need is an acre. This is a zone where 1 acre is minimum.
I thought it was an R60 zone.
No.
Actually, maybe the applicant could just run through this with the board and give a description of what he's trying to do, and then maybe go to questions. I think some of your questions might be answered in the process.
Okay.
This is a piece of property off of Kenwood Drive. It's in the 1 acre zone. 43,560 is a minimum area with 150 feet of frontage. Each lot has 150 feet and over 1 acre of land. And that's pretty much what you got before you.
When did they turn the pond to Kenwood Pond?
Must have been on some plan somewhere. I know we know it as Tackler, but it must have been somewhere in one of the old references.
Never heard of it before. It was always Tackler.
Well,
Now you say it was in the other zone.
R40 district.
But how can it be down there in R40? There is no sewer anyplace close
That's
by.
what it, Dick, it's on the zoning maps. That whole block from the center of town, down Maple Ave, down Kenwood, all the way back up. That whole block where the school is in is R40.
Okay.
Yeah, the school, because it goes into that sewer line, but this is
But it's,
nowhere
look
near
at the
that.
map, look at the zoning map. It's all that whole, that's the border of it.
So Dave, what do we do in a case like this?
What, meet zoning?
In terms of what? Are you seeing the zoning map now that I'm sharing or not?
No,
No.
Okay, let me stop the share on one, and figure out how to share on the other one.
You turned it
Here's
around
the land in
back.
question right here. And it's in the
There we go.
R40.
Yeah,
Is everybody seeing the map?
Yeah.
So what's the question, Dick? Or the concern?
It.
Is the question, how do you get sewer to go uphill?
not sewer, it's all septics. This isn't sewer. None of these are sewer.
Then why isn't it 1.5 acres?
Because it's the zone that the town chose to have for this area. R40, look at the map, it's right there.
I know
Well,
I am looking at the map, but I'm
when we went to the R40 and R60, we did not have any sewer and water requirements.
Oh.
That's old bylaw that's long gone.
So, Julian, I guess I've got a question for you on, and again, maybe this is out of our purview, but lots 6A and 6B, with the wetlands going through the back of their property, to Dick's point, how's a well and septic system going to get put onto those pieces?
There's no problem. They've all been perked and are all through the Board of Health. That's all in the works.
Oh, okay, so that's all.
All these lots have already perked and they're all in the design and meet all the criteria. That's all Board of Health and Concom. So, not a problem.
And I think, and just as a passing note here, you'll see that there was another plan submitted, the conceptual layout plan, just to show that there is in fact
About where
access
the houses are going, they're all going up along Kenwood Drive, so
with direct access from Kenwood.
with direct access.
All right.
All right.
Any more discussion on this?
Nope.
Do I have a motion to endorse the plan?
I'll move to endorse the plan for Kenwood Drive with 4 lots.
How many lots?
I see 4.
There's
lots?
4 in the remaining land.
I'm waiting for a second.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote. Dick,
Aye.
Marilyn,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Norm, I. And that sounds like the fee would be 550 on this one.
The check's back in the other office. I don't recall what was submitted. Julian, can you just refresh us, please?
He's on mute right now.
Yeah, I'm asking him to unmute.
Oh, sorry. I believe that's what it was, but we'll make, if it's not, I'll follow up and get you what you need, but I believe it was 550.
Okay. Done with this one?
Thank you.
Okay. Next item is item 5. It's an application for site plan review for I believe a freestanding sign on East County Road. Do we have anyone here to comment on the application?
Yes, my name's Greg Prey, and we are the owners. My wife is right here next to me. We're the owners of a business which was approved through the Zoning Board of Appeals, and that was approved December of 2019. So we're just here for the sign portion.
Mhm.
Do we,
So,
Norm, before we go through this, did we already approve from site plan review the storage space, or,
that was ZBA.
oh, ZBA did that, okay, because that was outside of the town, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
I know you definitely submitted at least what I would call a very thorough application, complete with all kinds of drawings and all that sort of thing. But if you don't mind, if you could just kind of give us a synopsis of what this thing is going to look like.
Sure. I don't know if you can move up the application to some of the drawings there. So this drawing right here just is kind of a view of where along 68 the sign will be. It'll be 5 feet minimum off of the property line. The elevation of where that sign will be located is approximately 88, and that coincides with the elevation along the road at the crest. The next is kind of an exploded view of that. If you're driving into the facility, that would be to the right-hand side, about 10 feet off of the road. So the sign will stand, and I think, is that the updated one? I dropped off an updated drawing, but if you want to go to the next one, I think.
Yeah, hold on, let me, I put those at the end of the updated packet.
Okay.
You get to those and tell me if we have the right ones. I dated them as well, right here, 4/27. So it's these, right here.
That's Rev 3. Yeah, the Rev 3 right there. So this is just the drawing of the tubular steel. It'll be 5 foot square tubular steel constructed of that. On top will be a backlit illuminated portion of the sign that will have just Superior on it. If you go to one of the other drawings, it's got kind of a layout. So some of the ones before that, David.
Why don't we, for ease of not having to go back and forth, if we just work with your latest, if you want me to go back, I can do that after you've maybe gone through what you have here, instead of going up and down, up and down.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right,
So
thank
if
you.
you go to the Rev, to go to the other revision of the tubular steel.
Everything that you submitted today is in the back end of this?
Yep, yep. Now if you can go back. Yeah. Okay, so Rev 3, which is just go down, or I'm sorry, go back up. So these are the correct dimensions. So with the box on the top of the sign and the tubular steel below, the max height will be 10 feet at the highest point from grade. And again, grade where the sign will be, and the road is within a foot, plus or minus.
How thick was the tube? The 5-inch tube?
I believe that's 1/8 thick.
All right.
You want to talk to the rest of this before going back up in the early part of the earlier things that you submitted, or? Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of go through my application if you don't mind. So obviously the purposes here before the planning board is to approve the sign for an approved business already through the zoning board. A lot of the application, only really sections 1, 2, and 3 applied. 4, 6, 7, 8, and 9 weren't, because we've already been through zoning board. Just going through the zoning bylaw, the submission for approval is in compliance with the signs allowable in a non-residential use district, specifically the light industrial / office. Purpose of the sign is to promote the business of Superior Self-Storage of Rutland. It's a freestanding sign. It is self-supported, not attached to a building, wall, fence, or other structure in a fixed location. If you want to go up to one of the other illustrations, so the first one kind of shows where it's at on site. The second kind of shows an exploded view. And then
Yeah, that's the one I wanted to see, David. Can we hold on that one? I just want to look at that and see, because the one that I didn't have the zoom feature, and I was trying to. So that is how far from the road?
that's going to be approximately.
Is that 5 feet off?
50. That's that line right next to the sign is the property line.
Okay.
Which is 5 foot offset, and then I believe from the road it's like 50 feet.
Okay, that's the driveway going out to
Correct.
68, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. All right, thanks. I just was trying to get an idea. And then you've got guardrails in front of that, correct? On the left side?
There are some guardrails there, yes. Yep.
Yeah,
there's quite a difference in the elevation from that point as you go north on 68.
Yeah, okay.
Good little hole there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that again is just the tubular steel construction. This is just a side view showing that the sign does not exceed the, the 24-inch width.
Yep.
And that's just how
That's your mounting brackets.
mounting brackets, correct. And then this would be the sign in total. The top would be the backlit portion. The bottom area would be the LED portion of it. And then the whole square area at the widest and the width and the length would not exceed 31 square feet, and of which the bylaw is for 32 square feet.
Yep.
Correct.
I mean, to cut to the chase, this is the only opinion I really had on this was I don't have an issue with the LED as long as we put conditions for the LED, no flashing and scrolling, like the same conditions that we put on Dr. Nera's LED sign in town. I mean, I don't have a problem if it's a fixed sign, LED. And if you change it, once a day or something like that, I don't have a problem with that. She had the scrolling, flashing red, and that there were some issues with people in town. So to keep it fair among the town, I have no issues with LED as long as it's not flashing and scrolling. That's my opinion.
And the lumens, I don't know what the lumens are.
We do have the spec on that, Dick, but what we plan to do is there's an automatic feature that we are going to get as an option, which will basically turn the lights down about 40% to about 40%. So from 100% to 40% at night.
Okay.
So
excellent.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. And it's not the intent to have anything flashing or scrolling or anything of that nature. It's meant more to have a fixed message.
That's the only thing I was looking for. I wanted to make it fair among all the business owners
Right.
and signs in town.
That makes sense.
And you're being energy efficient by using LEDs instead of all lights.
Exactly.
Norm, I don't have anything else. Do we need a motion to approve this?
I don't know. Is there anyone else comment on this, and particularly anyone from the public who might be on?
Oh, first we got to close the hearing. I apologize. Yeah.
1/8-inch tubing. So that's going to be good for how many years?
I'm not certain. I mean, it should be probably longer than the sign will last.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because I keep thinking 32 square feet. Let's see, wind velocity of 120 miles an hour with a hurricane coming up the Route 68.
I think that'll do it.
Yeah.
I think the gentleman will have more problems with the storage facility than the sign at 120 miles an hour.
No, it's going to be fine.
The sign might be the only thing left standing.
Right.
Yeah, really. All those buses right beside it are going to be tipped over.
Oh, Jesus.
All right, I'm okay with this. This is fine.
Yeah. I think the only comment I have is that obviously the LED portion of the sign is much larger than what we have seen around, but it's allowable.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. Maybe the town can take a little bit of a look at it. Maybe their sign they're going to put up is going to be like it.
They've already bought theirs, supposedly, Dick.
Oh, they did.
That's what I'd heard.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be installed within the next couple of weeks.
They've been saying that for the past month.
I know, Norm, but that's what I keep being told.
Yeah.
So, do you need a motion to close the hearing?
Yes.
I so move.
I'll second.
Second.
Okay. Now we need a vote to grant site plan approval.
Move to grant site plan approval for the sign on Route 68.
Are there conditions involved with this?
I was gonna do those, Dave, in the discussions, but I
Okay,
guess
thank you.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion.
I was gonna add in, Norm, that in the one of the conditions we put in is no flashing or scrolling. Thank you. Scrolling
Memos.
messages. Thank you. God, it's been a long day. Messages on the LED portion.
Yeah, okay, now that's written in our bylaw,
Right.
but I don't see any reason we can't put it as a condition anyway.
Just reinforces it, I guess, maybe.
Yeah.
Was there something about a message, one change of a message per day or something?
I mean, it's not like it's going to change a lot.
Yeah.
Probably be there, you know. I can't see it changing a lot. You know, we may toggle between, but you know, I prefer not to put that as if we, you know, say maybe we wanted 2 alternating messages during the day.
Yeah, but that's what we were trying to stay away from, because Dr. Nira, she had the same thing. It wasn't like it was constantly flowing, but she was changing messages, and we just got bad feedback from people driving by. So we asked to have a fixed message on there, and she agreed to it and did it. But I wanted to keep it, in my opinion, if we ask her to do that, we should ask anybody else coming in, since we basically say no scrolling or flashing. So, I mean,
I would agree with that, particularly on 68, where some of the traffic is going 60 miles an hour and up. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I guess, my biggest in this would be a safety concern is that, someone reads a message and they get up close to the sign, all of a sudden the message changes. That's going to be a distraction
yeah.
for them to see that change. So,
All right, I understand.
from one day to the next, I don't see a problem.
I don't
Okay.
have to shoot that either. So if we want to put
That's
that in there, Norm, I'm fine with that.
I lost track of it. What's the condition then?
I guess I'll change my condition to no scrolling or flashing messages, and one message change per 24 hours.
All right, and does the board want the sign to be on all night or not? Or some reduction of intensity or something?
Yeah, we can put it so that the intensity after dusk is lower. It can be programmed to do that. That would be fine.
And I guess this was one of the other complaints that we got from the dental office sign, was just the overall brightness of the whole sign.
Right.
I guess as long as you're, amenable to being, a little bit sensitive to,
Right.
if all of a sudden people say, hey, well, this thing is lighting up the whole night sky,
No, that's not what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
What is the closest house to you guys?
Across the street.
Yeah, probably across the street. It's a little bit further than our house.
All right. Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I want to. This is my opinion, getting specific to how we tell them to control it. But as long as the applicant's agreeable and he's buying the option to loom it.
Yes.
I think it's one of those things where we mention it in the minutes, and if we get complaints, it's in the minutes, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, I'll agree to that.
and it was mentioned at dusk. So I think that's a fine place to
Mhm.
have it.
Yep, I'm fine with that.
Any further discussion? And I think I asked once before, any public input?
We don't see anybody who's asking to be heard on this matter in the
Okay.
public.
Okay, hearing no further discussion, then roll call vote. Dick,
Aye.
Marilyn,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Norm, aye.
Norm, can I do like the select board aye with enthusiasm?
Yeah. Well, I guess more than anything, I just say I am pretty darn impressed with their application.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
That was
Yeah.
about as complete and, thorough, detailed as we could ever ask for, I think.
Yeah, for a sign, it's yeah.
All right.
I guess,
well, thank you very
David-
much.
And
Well-
I hope they're done jackhammering there.
You had to bring that up, right, Dick?
Uh-oh.
So is there ledge rock maybe?
No, we had some anomalies with the slab
Oh, wow.
being addressed right now.
Oh.
Sorry about that. It's not what I thought.
No.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Well, good luck with it. I think it's a great idea.
All right. Thanks.
And
Norm.
if my uncle was around, I think he'd be, yoo-hoo! Good old
Norm,
Harry.
is there any thought process to, taking a good application like that and maybe using this as a template for future people coming in with signs?
I like that idea.
Oh, if the applicant doesn't mind the application being shared,
No, that's fine. No issues with that.
But thank you.
We're gonna make you famous.
We already submitted the check.
The town
Right,
can
thank you.
use any money we can get.
okay, next item. We have a hearing on a proposed zoning bylaw amendment. This is a citizen's petition to make some changes to the section called Light Industrial District Office. And you have all the details in front of you. I don't know if you want to go over it piece by piece.
So what does town council say?
So the applicant's here if you want him to give
No.
a brief overview of this and then take questions after that, if you like, or maybe some of your questions will be answered like in the other cases as we go along.
Never mind. No.
You guys want me to make a, kind of a quick presentation on this, or?
Do it.
All right, so we, presented a petition to change the zoning in the light industrial office, which is what my Rutland Plaza is right now. It's light industrial office. I've had to go to the zoning board, once I got denied, once I got approved, to have the, to allow some of a different use in a building where the uses were already there. In the old zoning bylaw, business and anything that was allowed in business was allowed in the light industrial. I hope I said that not backwards. So basically what I'm asking to do is to allow that all light industrial / office zones in the town include whatever uses would be available in the business zones as well. So now if I want to put a restaurant in Sims Cab or in where Honey Farms is, I have to go to the zoning board to get it approved. And there's already you know, because KP's is moving in there, so, and I had to get that, again, I had to go to the zoning board to get that approved, because it's not allowed in the light industrial district / office. So if we just include the uses of the business zone, with the exception of residential, because you can, in a business zone, you can put, you know, residential uses, so we excluded that from this petition. But, so basically what this does is it takes all the uses except the residential portion of the business zone and allows them, all the light industrial and business, to be merged together. And this is throughout the entire town. I guess that's really it.
Okay. One thing I guess I just kind of want to note is, you know, our initial suggestion was that they could simply add the language that in the light industrial zone, any use allowed in a business zone would also be allowed. Apparently, for some reason or other, I'm pretty sure it was George Carizzi, said that he didn't really think he could, or that would be the way to do it. And that's why we have this whole lengthy thing. I can't say that I looked at it literally word for word, but I perused it fairly well. And it appears what he has simply done is added in all of the permitted uses in the business zone into this light industrial office district.
And with the exception of residential, sorry.
Yes. Now, Dave, I don't know if you've taken a really fine tooth look at it or not.
I have, I've taken a fair look at it, yep.
So,
He was looking for your opinion there, Dave.
Well, then I didn't hear the question.
Well, I had something I thought I found it in there. Maybe it was something else I read. I could have sworn that it says there that you must wear a bow tie
To the
at all
restaurant?
meetings.
Really? I didn't see that, but.
And that goes for Maryland.
Oh,
Right.
sure, I mean, as far as an opinion goes, I'll say that what it does is it allows for uses which are common practice to be located on this part of town, which you would expect to be there, that are incidental and customary to that area. It gets rid of having to have an applicant go pursue a use variance for a restaurant. I mean, use variances are not good land use practice. I think in this case, there was KPs, and there's a lot of goodwill in the community for KPs, that it was seen as not an issue. But you can't say that for all uses. I think this allows for a lot of opportunity at the site. I think in particular, there's not a lot of commercial zones in town. I think the town is trying to, or ought to be, considering how to diversify its tax base, especially during hard fiscal times. And this is one way to do it, by bringing in as many uses as possible into a concentrated area. So I think overall, from an economic development standpoint, you know, this does do that. I know that we may be hearing some criticisms or other regarding this. If there's anything to be said, I guess we'll just put it on the table and see what the comments are about it. But I would be telling you that at this point about this proposal.
Repeat the last sentence that you said, Dave. You're not always right up close to the microphone.
What was the last part? The last part was what? Uses being appropriate for the area?
Yes.
Maximizing commercial opportunities in town, especially in hard fiscal times. Trying to diversify the commercial tax base.
Uh-huh. Did you state whether or not you approved this or had any problems with it?
I don't know if I want to go so far as approving it. I don't want to take the board's prerogative from the board. It's the board's prerogative to approve or disapprove. I just think that in general, given that this does affect other light industrial districts, light industrial office districts in town, that there is opportunities for businesses to locate where they were previously not allowed. This reduces some of the permitting processes and streamlines some of the process, and does once again serve the economic development goals of the town, as far as I understand them.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
The other thing is this, these all still would require site plan approval.
Right.
Yeah, through ZBA.
Yeah, that's the key to ZBA. I guess, Norm, when you want, I've got a lengthy list.
Okay.
I actually spent time going through the business bylaw, the light industry, and the town center, and trying to see, since this is in town center, why not just look at the town center bylaw and see what deficiencies it has, as opposed to changing this whole light industry office bylaw. And the only thing I came up with that was different than what George had done for this addition is in section 6 of the town center. It had outdoor storage, which it was asking for enclosed buildings. And the only difference between this was it was allowing basically open storage. And that was basically due to like lumber yards. So I don't know why we couldn't just rezone this to a TC2 district like it would be, and if need be, update the section 6 to include outdoor storage, and it doesn't have to enclosed or outdoor storage. That seems a whole lot easier than redoing a bylaw that hasn't gone through the bylaw subcommittee, hasn't been vetted other than this hearing. We mentioned 3 years ago that if you want to get bylaws through, bring it before the planning board, have it referred to the subcommittee. Thanks, Marilyn. And then that's the proper way. Now the citizen petition has a full right to do this, but from the planning board's perspective, I can't buy into this, especially since I was through the TC2 or the TC zones, and it looks like, again, this is just me, I'm not an attorney that went through this explicitly, but other than that section 6 on outdoor storage, I think it covers everything. It's got the restaurants, it's got everything that's being added into this bylaw. So I'm struggling with completely redoing a bylaw. And on top of that, this bylaw actually has another section called section 17, which is the allowable buildings within the light industry and office. And in the TCs, they take care of it in one bylaw. With the business and the light industry, it's broken up into 2 bylaws. So that's why I'm struggling to, I can't buy into this. Not that I don't think it needs to be done, don't get me wrong, but I think the correct thing that should be done is it should be rezoned for TC2, and then if we have to update section 6 to accommodate that one difference, let's get it done. It's not like we're rechanging the entire bylaw.
May I speak to that? Well,
Yes.
all right. So first of all, the TC is basically for the town center, and what you're saying is to make my piece of property. Basically, sounds like what you're saying is make my piece of property just the TC2 district or whatever it is down that end, and then leave all the other light industrial office and business zones alone.
Correct.
Light industrial office zones alone, because a lot of the light industrial office areas outside of what I'm trying to do have a lot of limitations. And it used to be in the old zoning that anything allowed in business, anything was allowed in light industrial was allowed in business. The problem is I think its zone got changed, so anything that's light industrial office now has a lot of limitations, and you end up having to go before the zoning board for a lot of different things. That's why we thought it best as for the town to change the zone so that the uses that are allowed in business can be allowed in light industrial. So, I mean, one of the biggest problems that you guys had with it to begin with was that it was spot zoning. If you just do this, it's gonna be spot zoning for that, and it's that one piece, and that was an issue. So the way that we got through that was to say that anything that's light industrial office, my feeling is this is more of a town petition. Yes, it helps me, but if we just zoned it to TC2, yeah, that probably, like, it would probably be the same, but the TC2 was there was specifics to that. I sat on the bylaw subcommittee at that time. It was specific to setbacks. It was specific to a lot of different things that aren't that aren't the same in light industrial or a business district. So if you're trying to promote commercial in the town, and if you're trying, there's a lot of areas that are light industrial office that isn't going to give you the type of zoning that you need to be able to induce commercial type zoning in that area. So this is more of a town petition. In my opinion, it's better for the town. It goes back to the way it used to be, and it's better for the town to have those uses available in that district. It's not really, I mean, if it went to the bylaw subcommittee, what would you say? Basically, all I'm saying here, it's not gonna, it's nothing that needs to be debated. It's pretty simple, I think. But in my opinion, Tim, and I respect what you're saying. I mean, it's not really taking anything away from me, but I think it's better. This is better for the town than just making all just my piece town center.
Oh, and Clea, I don't disagree with you. It's I'm just a process and procedure guy, and that's the problem I've got is it hasn't gone through the process. And I get you have the right as a citizen to put a petition up. I have no objection to that. I just think from the planning board's perspective, since we're responsible for the zoning, I mean, I think we have to say we've got a procedure in place and we need to follow it. And I'm not disagreeing with anything that's in there because I've been through what you and George had worked on it, and I don't have any issues other than I haven't had a chance to delve into it. You know, like if we were on the bylaw subcommittee or if we had legal review or stuff like that. So that's my tough part with this is I spent the time at least to go through the business and the light industry observing the TC2 to try to come up with a plan. But after thinking about it, I'm going like, well, you've already got it on the warrant, so it couldn't be changed for this instant for TC2. And I get what you're trying to do for the town. I applaud that. I'm just like, it hasn't gone through the process, and I don't want to be contradictive when we tell people in the past, especially in town meeting, that you need to go to the planning board with your bylaw change, and then we'll refer to the subcommittee, and then we'll come back with it. So that's my only concern is I'm not being consistent in what I said 3 or 4 years ago. And I want to be consistent. And again, I even mentioned if the TC2 satisfies all the requirements for that area, I don't have an issue handling it in the fall. In fact, I'd go to bat and say, I don't want to hear we're not changing stuff, that we can't change zoning in the fall, because until you show me a state law saying we can't do it, too bad.
Well,
That's,
again, I hear all that, but let me just ask you. I mean, and honestly, you don't have to delve into it, but if it went to the bylaw subcommittee, this is so simple. I mean, there's two basic types of zoning that are involved here. It's light industrial and it's business. They're involved. I mean, anything that you can put in a light industrial, you can put in a business. Anything you can put in business, you can put in light industrial. That's basically the whole debate.
yeah.
It's not. So all things are different. Yeah, you have things that if you have to bring that to the bylaw subcommittee, and I get things are different, but this is so simple, and it solves a problem, I think, in future growth for the town, and it solves a problem in what's going on with anything that's light industrial right now. I mean, for my property, for the Rutland Plaza, where there's Toolers, there's now going to be KPs, because and it's not easy. Believe me, it wasn't easy to get the zoning board to say, okay, yeah, go ahead. why don't you go ahead and put that in there? Because they wouldn't let me put a marijuana business in there, but I can put it directly across the street where it's going. So the point is that it isn't easy to get this stuff through the zoning board. They're very strict and their rules are strict, and they did it because of goodwill for KPs. That's really I think that's really, Dave can probably back me up on that. He was there. That's the only reason the thing got through. So my point, Tim, is all things are different. If you were going to debate this, what would you say? Well, this is an approved zone. This isn't approved. All we're doing is we're saying whatever you can do in business, with the exception of residential, you can do in light industrial office.
Well, here's the issue. And again, this would probably get vetted to the bylaw subcommittee. We just had a gentleman before us that is putting in a mini storage facility for public rental.
Mhm.
Based on this bylaw, he couldn't do it because it's been taken out.
No, it hasn't.
It's got a line through it. The one I'm looking at, it's number K, or it's E, is got a line through it saying that it's gone. Am I
Where?
wrong?
Yeah, definitely.
That was moved to the site, that was moved to special permit.
It was moved to special permit.
Look at warehouse and other storage facilities includes mini storage, that's under special permit in section 2. So it does still exist, it's not a special permit, it's got a site plan review.
In which it should have, Tim. You know, it shouldn't be a by right. It should have a site plan review.
Oh, so I apologize. I missed the red. So, and I guess I've got another question. What comes out of this, Marilyn? I'm sorry, I interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that, and this might not be the place to respond to your suggestion, but that I think there are adequate differences in the TC sections, which were designed to be pedestrian friendly and don't really equate to the light industry business district. But as I say, that's probably not the place to discuss it.
And we had an awful lot of opposition. It took a lot to get that TC stuff through. We had a lot of opposition to that, especially setback requirements, what Main Street was going to look like. You know, it was a lot of aesthetics in that, and that's going to get carried over if you move that through. And that's something that's really, you know, it makes sense. It made a lot of sense to do TC2 and TC Town Center because we tried to maintain the character of Main Street. That was our big, that Marilyn, remember Norman, you guys, Dick, that was a big thing, maintain the character of Main Street and let businesses go on Main Street at the same time. So, you know, that I thought, you know, that accomplished that. This is different. This is business and light industrial. It's a whole, I think, a whole different approach to what zoning, you know, TC zoning was.
Well, and the other thing I got, just Norma, it is that with this setting up, it's setting up similar to what we do at the planning board with special permits and site plan review, which I'm all for. But does the ZBA even have procedures in place for that?
When I sat on the ZBA, we were the only ones who did it. The planning board never did it.
They never did site plan review or special
No,
permits?
when I sat on the ZBA, that's all we did. We did site plan review. It got moved to the planning board, which is probably a better place for it, because you know they hire Quinn to do the look at the drainage and different things. That was never getting looked at before.
Okay. I'm just curious because I don't know their rules and regs, so you know if I go online, I didn't even know they had any. So
it's tough. The zoning board's tough.
I don't know. I'm just clear again. Everything George did, I have no major heartache with it. I'm struggling from the procedures and policy side that, you know, I don't know.
Let me say this too. The zoning board said to me when I went there for the last one, listen, we don't want to be doing this every 5 minutes. We as part of this deal, you've got to go and ask for the zones to be changed. This was a request of the zoning board.
Yeah, just to piggyback on that comment, it was a request of the zoning board because the zoning board was trying to strike a balance in this particular case. I think the zoning board realizes that use variances are not the best practice, I think the board realized that the location for all practical matters made perfect sense to have a restaurant. It's the perfect place because it's right on a well-traveled road coming in and out of town. So to make the land use compatible with the zoning district, the idea was to rezone it so that you don't have to do the thing with the use variance, so that it is the right use in the right district. I think a lot of this is just a common sense thing in terms of the uses, the right uses for the district. And I think given the historical nature of the property, there are some TC items in the land, there are some light industrial items that are not in TC. I think this does preserve some of the existing situation so that you avoid having non-conforming situations to have to deal with at a later time. So
Yeah, but again, being from policies and procedures, if I'm not mistaken, the ZBA ruled on this last summer. That's 8 months ago. Why wasn't it brought before the planning board right after the ZBA got done with this announcement? And we could have gotten it through the bylaw subcommittee and had this ready for town meeting, and we don't. There's my policies and procedures
well, it
issue.
wasn't brought because the town doesn't want to do zoning in the fall. So as a result, the applicant was requested, if they were agreeable to it, to hold it until this spring. Now that we will be having some zoning petitions coming up in the fall, that we need to do zoning year round. To only have it at some parts of the year just doesn't serve the greater good of trying to make tweaks to the zoning bylaw and simple technical changes and other things like that. So the applicant was asked to hold it. So unbeknownst to us, there's some procedure that citizens petitions would go to the bylaw subcommittee. I'm certainly not aware of that. I'm not aware of a policy like that, so that we could have advised accordingly. So now here we are trying to take this. It's my understanding further that this would have been sponsored by the planning board originally, as we brought this, we put this on the table several months ago. So I don't know.
Well, my point is that I get the fall thing, and I don't agree with that, and that's a whole different discussion. But considering this was asked to be changed last summer, it could have been brought before, because you knew it was going to be a zoning bylaw change. Could have been brought before the planning board, and if there is no policy or procedure in place, we know the board can refer it to this bylaw subcommittee. The fact that it wasn't, and we're doing this in the 11th hour, is where I'm struggling.
If I may, through the chair, please, and hello, everybody. Sorry I'm late, but I want to speak as a citizen, though. And Tim, you talk about policies and procedures. I understand. There are certain rules and guidelines that are set before you, as well as a citizen. Now, I don't know if Cleve was beholden on a timeline, or for whatever reason, Cleve didn't. I'm sure he wasn't trying to step on any toes, but there are policies and procedures that are set before the planning board give a citizen the opportunity in a town to change the bylaw, as long as they follow the procedures that there and guidelines that are set before him. So it's not that, yes, it could have went that way, but if you're taking it personal, he's done nothing wrong by submitting it.
No,
Now, I understand that you feel that he should have, this came up on, why it didn't. Who, I don't want to sound callous, but who cares on the why? For whatever reason, Clee's a busy man. The time comes for there was a timeline to get on this town meeting. He would have had to wait for whatever way he's doing. He would have had to wait, or anybody else that was working through would have had to wait an undue amount of period of time. We're talking, and it's not that he's trying to get around the rules. To me, it seems like he's following the rules.
I would like to say something that we had the hearing in the summer. I brought the petition in probably a month or two after that. The town, whether it was the select board or the town manager or, however, asked me if I would withdraw the petition and hold it until the spring. So I did actually follow up right away with this And because of, they didn't want to do zoning at the fall meeting, I was asked to withdraw, which I complied. I withdrew. And I think Dave can back me up on that. He had to ask me. So the point is that, Tim, I tried to make the petition right away because I told the zoning board that I would do it right away. And the town asked me to hold it.
And Clea, I'm not, again, you were, in my opinion, I don't hold you accountable. It sounds to me like you were doing the right thing. I'm struggling with the town now of knowing full well that we, as a planning board with bylaws, have a bylaw subcommittee, and we didn't advise you to do that. So I guess it's shame on us, and I'm more frustrated now with the process of, you know, yeah, I'm done. Somebody else talk.
It just, the thing is, I think it just makes so much sense that I don't know that how much we would have had to talk about it, but I see where you're saying, listen, there's a procedure, everybody follows a procedure, let's do it the right way.
Yeah. And Clea, the only thing I'm struggling with is I remember when a citizen, and again, now there's a bylaw, ad hoc bylaw committee, which that's a whole different issue, but they were bringing a solicitation, trying to do from the floor a citizen's petition on solicitation, and it got shot down. And I distinctly remember, I don't know if it was the planning board or if it was the select board, suggested that they take it before the planning board, get it to the bylaw subcommittee, and get this thing done so it can get through. We advise the town that, but we don't advise you of that. So I'm struggling right now of what the, but again, I'm just gonna back out and somebody else talk. I'm done. Again, please, this isn't personal.
I take nothing personal. It's not,
Yeah,
I get it.
just,
I mean, I guess it's up to the board, but by
yeah.
the same token, you make a lot of good, solid points, and I get them. This one, like you said, not all things are the same. This is pretty easy. It basically, I've got, in my case, and I think there's a couple of other cases, you've got already, you know, uses that aren't allowed and being done in areas that, wouldn't be allowed today. You'd have to get a use variance for them.
Yeah.
What this does is kind of fix an issue. It's not really, and I think I think it's really good for the town. It's going to promote commercial and industrial, which is we're looking to do more of. So I just think it's really, it doesn't take a whole lot of discussion. I think in this case, just call it a little bit different than most. It doesn't take a whole lot of discussion in this case. It really doesn't. But that's just my opinion, and I'll stop talking to.
Norm, let me ask a question, because I know what the FICOM does with citizens petitions. They basically don't take an opinion. They do a no action. Are we going to be asked for an opinion from the select board on this?
It's a zoning change, so they should be asking for our recommendation.
So I guess, and maybe we need a motion. I'm not sure. I'm struggling with what we do, and that's the point I'm getting at. I mean, it is what it is. To Sean's point, it's a citizens petition. The citizens have the right to ask for changes. I have no problem with that. I really don't. That's town government. I think it's great. It's just I'm struggling with, if we endorse this and say yes, it's good, we basically just said, why do we have a bylaw subcommittee then? So for zoning changes, that's what I'm trying to get to the board. Not that I don't agree with this. It's just, anyhow, that's enough talk. I'll let you guys, let guys and girls go where we want to go.
Okay, just a couple of things. Number one, and not that this necessarily should make a difference, but it does look like this thing is probably sort of time sensitive for the applicant. But number two, and much more importantly, we have in front of us a legal citizens petition, and I feel at least that our decision on this should be based on the merits of the change, not the process that might or might not have happened. Is this doing something that is beneficial and is not going to do any harm?
and Norm, I don't have an issue with that. It's just, we've had no legal review. How can we give an opinion for the town if we've had no legal review?
In terms of legal review, if I could just maybe clear you want this one, but I think it's taking words that already exist in the bylaw in sections that already exist, and it is putting those same words into a modified section. It's not bringing in new language for the first time. It's using existing language that's already been vetted and organizing it in such a way as to expand the light industrial office so that it is more consistent with other commercial bylaw sections. So it's not novel per se. It's pretty much pre-existing. It's being reorganized to some extent, to some large extent, I think. I mean,
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I've been burned by lawyers too many in my career. That's the reason why.
No
So-
comment.
I don't,
Yeah.
speaking as the chairman of the bylaw subcommittee, do we have any directive anywhere that outlines how matters can be brought before the subcommittee? I'm not aware of any, but
I know there is no mention of citizens petition.
okay.
Maybe there should be, Norm.
Well, maybe.
Through the select board also. Anything is brought before them.
If I may, I remember when the sound bylaw, the people were complaining about the noise in town. And the direction that we as a board gave to them was write up a bylaw and then set a date to have it put on the agenda and then reviewed. So I think that would be the process. Now, whether, I mean, everything, we still have to get, whether it would meet all the other legal parts, but we pretty much, correct me if I'm wrong, we just told them to write something up and bring it to us.
Bring this back to us, right?
Yeah. Which would, whatever happened, I guess things got quiet for a little bit. No pun intended.
I don't know if, does the select board need a proper channel if somebody brings in the citizens petition to get it to, for review or something like that? Number one, we need to say, hey, Lou Canacchioli, no more of your May for zoning.
Dick, I agree with you 110%.
It's going to be year round, period. And second, I would like to, make sure that the select board, if a citizen petition comes in, gets it to the subcommittee, gets it to the planning board in time.
I'm 90% sure that the law reads that the purpose of the select board forwarding it to the subcommittee, to the planning board, is simply to hold a public hearing.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah,
Norm, the other thing, and Clee, this is probably, and I don't know if George has looked at it, I'm surprised he didn't, because one of our bylaws is number 17, which is business, light industry and office districts, where it lays out structures, setbacks, all of that. So, and that's not updated with this. So that was my only concern was that being left alone?
Yes.
Okay.
I do want to say, I do want to make one suggestion, and I don't know, it's probably a good suggestion, but I'm reading I can only see what Dave's got on the screen here. And in italics, on the number 1, it says, without a site plan hearing, bearing an endorsement of approval by the ZBA, Zoning Board of Appeals, and only after the Zoning Board of Appeals has held a public hearing, no building or buildings for use in light industrial office districts shall be constructed, altered, expanded, and no premises or land. I think we should take out Zoning Board of Appeals and put in Planning Board. I mean, the Zoning Board, I mean, I've been in front of them a couple of times. I don't think they're set up to do site plan approval at all. I just think that belongs to the planning board. And I think it's probably a pretty easy change to make right now. Other than that, I didn't see that going in, and you guys just pointed that out.
Yeah,
But I think it should say planning board. Zoning board of appeal, zoning board, I don't think has the right structure to come up with a site plan approval.
but Cleve, that same language is under business too, because I looked that up and it's under the business bylaw, which
Right,
I
and
have right here in front of me, it
now's a
says
good
the
time
same
to
thing.
change that. We should change that, because that's really, I mean, it doesn't matter to me which board you go in front of, but I just think it's cleaner and easier for the planning board to do it. They have, you know, a lot of different things at their disposal. They have Quinn Engineering and all that. I mean, you know, when you're putting up big buildings and light industrial office buildings, you're creating a ton of impervious. Now, guys that sit on the zoning board, I mean, some of them may, but you know, you guys and I, we know what impervious does, right?
Yeah.
You know, and what it causes for stormwater and what has to be taken into effect and things like that. So this might be a good chance or a good time to take out wherever it says zoning board and put planning board. Just think about that. I mean, I'd be willing to make a change to that, but you know, there's a lot of things that go into, especially when you got those big buildings. You know, what do you do with this? What do you do with the stormwater? Who approves that?
Yeah.
You see what I'm getting at? I mean, stormwater is huge on that. I used to, when I was on the zoning board and we did a few of these, I would talk to Kyle Christensen at the time. He was the DPW director, and he would, you know, look it over and get back to me because, I mean, I didn't know how they were handling it. Where does it go? There's no drainage. There's no nothing. If the zoning board looks at it, just a thought. And you know, and it's only come up because I'm sitting here reading it while I'm listening to you guys. That's all.
Well, another thing too, please, say a site plan goes before the zoning board of appeals. Well, what if the person that presents the site plan wants to appeal what their decision is? Who's it go to then? So it should go to the planning board. So if it's appealed, it goes to the zoning board of appeals or something like that.
Yeah.
Dick and Norm, I got to rely on your ageless knowledge to, because these were all written before before Tim. I couldn't figure out why it was a ZBA, and I haven't got it. Of course, I can't ask the TA, and Dave wasn't around 20, 30 years ago. So I'm just curious of why it was picked up for the business and the light industry for ZBA, but when we did the TCs, we went with the village center, and we went with the planning board. So that was a struggle of mine, but I couldn't answer that myself. I wasn't sure where to go with that.
It seems as if this is a reason to continue the discussion on this and not have it on the upcoming town meeting agenda.
Yeah, I know, because wouldn't we, Clee? I should say Norm and Clee. I wouldn't want to make a change to this to ZBA to planning board without getting some of their input, because to me I agree with you. There probably should be planning board, but to change this outright, I don't know. You know, again.
I'd like to leave it in there, and then if it's going to cause an argument or more discussion, that it puts it off.
Yeah.
You know, the zoning board is the one who asked me to get this in front of you guys as fast as I could in front of town meeting. They didn't feel there would be an issue at town meeting even, but you know, point is that I think it's really easy at this point right now to just strike where it says zoning board and put in planning board, but leave it alone if you want. I mean, believe me, they're not going to care because I'll tell you, just from my experience sitting on the zoning board, you know, there's an awful lot that goes into it, and the planning board is more set up to handle that kind of stuff. They deal with it all the time. It's just it's smart, and if the planning board endorses this, the ZBA is not. I guarantee you. Call Dick Surratt right now, Richard Surratt. He's not going to care. Neither is Chris Senecal or any of those guys. It's just not. It's not an issue that I think if you don't want to take it out, don't. But I made a suggestion looking at it that it makes more sense to say planning board than zoning board. That's all.
Yeah, I would just also piggyback again and say that it is a trend statewide where for some reason in the 60s and early 70s, there were a lot of zoning boards doing a lot of site plan review. There's been an evolution in the Commonwealth where most site plan reviews are done by the planning board because the planning board has more technical expertise to do the site plan review. They have more resources as indicated. And I'll say for the ones that were recently before the zoning board for site plan review, the Curtis building and the self-storage that you just saw a moment ago, the planning office did staff those meetings. The planning board, the planning office did work with the applicant on the project as much as possible. You know, we couldn't go to Quinn, but we did work with the applicant. We did have an IRT meeting with the various boards, various departments. So we tried to bring modern planning practices to the table as much as possible. I think if the planning board is directly involved with site plan, it's just, that's the final step. That's the final step which is happening in the Commonwealth. And this, if you need third-party review, there's already a consulting engineer who the planning board has relationships and 53G accounts with. So I don't think that's a problematical or really radical change. But if that's going to hold this thing up, I would probably say when we work on the site plan regulations to try to have a separate site plan chapter which kind of organizes all the site plan stuff. Maybe we have that conversation at that time. It's going to be the same conversation as now, but I'll leave it up to the board.
I'd get it done right now, guys. I really would. Dave, I can tell by Dave's opinion just now, he's for it. It is the way every other town, I can tell you that the planning board are the ones looking at the site plan, not the zoning board anymore. And that's old. Dave's right. That is old, and it has morphed into planning boards doing it. I would just strike where it says zoning board and put planning board. That's what I would do.
Norm,
I'll change my petition.
Norm, let me ask a question. Is there, because typically we can have a meeting, before the town meeting, and we have in the past. I would be more apt to go along with this if we in the next 2 weeks we could get something from the zoning board saying that's fine, and to Clee's point, change it as part of the distribution to the floor, and then this light industry would be under the planning board with all the site plans and all the new what's the word I'm looking for? The new verbiage that's gone into it.
Right.
I guess I want to get a feeling of the board. What do they think?
Well,
No, I like it, but I now I'm going to question what's Leah thinking.
Leah's got her hand up. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Leah,
Hi guys, how are you? Norm, if I may,
yeah,
can you hear me okay?
yes.
Yes.
Okay. I'm just not sure. This is a discussion we've had in our select board meetings for citizens petitions, and it might be worth clarifying with either Ron or Anita or someone. My understanding was whatever was submitted to Anita by the deadline was the exact verbiage that had to be placed, because it's not only the petitioner that then has to agree to any changes, but it would also be, I think, is it 10 signatories that you need to get this placed? For annual, I think it's 10. I'm not 100% sure about the changes that would, any potential things that would be triggered if you wanted to change anything that was submitted.
And the warrant has already been posted, right?
But the warrant references a handout.
Yeah,
The warrant doesn't take verbatim the text that you see here. It references the handout.
yeah,
Right, but
It's modified. It's the handout, which is the authoritative document. As long as town meeting has the handout, at least as far as if this was not a citizen's petition, this was one sponsored through the planning board, we put the information in the handout, and the warrant references the handout. So that could be changed up to the very end. And that's what is distributed to town meeting. And when it's distributed to town meeting, that's when it's final, unless it's changed on the floor. Now, that may be different for citizens petitions, but I don't know.
right, I would just ask to clarify that with, I don't know if Anita would be the one or if it would be Ron, but I know that was a discussion that we've had back and forth in our select board meetings as far as with it being a citizen's petition, that the verbiage has to be exact, but I don't actually know what the statute says on that. That's all.
before, I don't want to have changes be made that then trigger it not being able to be placed or whatever, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah, I have 10, Leah, just to kind of comment, the 10
yeah.
signatures are really my family. So if I,
Well, I
if I
figured it
need to
wouldn't be
get
a
a
problem for you to
new
get
one,
it changed.
I could get one.
No, I figured it wouldn't be a problem for you to get that changed, but just for, yeah, just that's, I don't know what the statute says as far as citizens petitions. So that's all. Thanks for letting me comment, guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks for the comments, that's helpful.
Yeah.
Because what we got before us right now isn't the handout, Clea, that you're going to give, because you can't have, as part of a bylaw, note sign planage moved to proper place. This whole thing's going to be done in a different format, correct?
No, this format's fine. This is how we did it on the other ones. If you remember a couple of years ago, we did technical changes. What we provided was, we had notes. We indicated what was being done, but that was to provide information to the public. At the end of the day, to act in any manner there too is the town clerk's prerogative. And what she does is take out all the notes and just goes with the textual changes. So this is common to have a strike through version and italicized for new language. So this is a proper format, and that this tells the public what exactly the changes are. If you see striking, that's coming out. If you see italicized, that's going in. If you see notes, there's a reason for it. And then at the end of the day, when it's voted, the town clerk just takes the final text and brings that into the zoning bylaw.
Okay. All right. Well, again, I'm more apt to be comfortable with to Dave's comment of the planning board, but again, I think we should at least give the courtesy to ask the chairman of the ZBA, do you have a problem if the site, if the what is this, the light industry office, the site plan review and special permits are handled by the planning board, not the ZBA. The ZBA would be the appeals portion, to Dick's point, not the reviewing party.
Well, the zoning board next meets on the 5th of May. I suppose we can ask if they have time on their agenda, if you'd like.
I could call Dick Surratt tomorrow.
Oh,
and ask him.
Well, I was getting to the point of, having, I don't know, Dave or Norm talk to him, and May 5th. That's before the plan. That's before the town meeting, correct? Because the meeting's on the 8th.
Yes, correct.
I don't know. I see killing two birds with one stone, but that's what makes sense to me.
Me too. It really does.
Well, I'm in favor of that too. So how do we do it?
Yeah, that's what I'm struggling with.
Why don't you do it and then ask the zoning board to give their opinion on it?
Yeah.
I bet you I know they're gonna say, well, what do they want to do site plan approvals for? It's just not usually done. Zoning board's worried about, if you're 10 feet closer than you should be, or if you're over the setback line, or those kind of things you need zoning relief for. Use variances, site plan approvals, they don't do that stuff, and they really don't do it anymore. I would say make the change, then put it on their May 5th agenda to see if they have a problem with it. And if they do, leave it alone. But I would say at least make the change, because it's the right thing to do. At the end of the day, the planning board should be looking at this stuff, not the zoning board. It really should be.
Yeah.
Norm, what do you think? I'm all for it. The procedures have got me worried, because we're going up to the 11th hour. If they're done on the 5th, and Clee's got to have this printed up and be able to brought, do we have a special meeting after theirs once we get well,
it probably could be done just before the annual town meeting.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at, but
although town meeting is going to be in Holden.
Yep, at Wachusett.
Say what?
Yes.
Yeah, Dick, it's gonna be at the amphitheater in Wachusett High School.
Boy, I don't think I've been back there since I graduated.
Yeah, Jenkins, Crow, where? Oh my God.
Dick, you're not driving to Ohio. It's not that far.
I know the state has given permission to move town meetings
Yeah.
to out of town, but I don't know about planning board.
Oh my God. It just opened another can of worms.
Yeah. Okay. You know, the only thing is, I honestly do feel we absolutely must have some input from ZBA.
Yes.
And I think, you know, that might have been part of the reason that we kept it as ZBA when we wrote this,
Mm-hmm.
for fear of maybe just stepping on toes.
Mm-hmm.
I may be wrong on that, but it wouldn't surprise me that because I think we did take some other stuff. Well, yeah, in the town center districts, we did take stuff away from ZBA.
Yeah.
That's all right. I got big shoes. I'll step on them.
Yeah.
I say make the change and ask for their opinion.
Yeah.
Norm, can we do that through? I mean, can we do that? Oh, they probably have. I was going to say through their chairman, but he's probably got to get an opinion for the whole board, so he's going to need a meeting. Yeah.
The thing is, I would not change it without input.
I agree. Well, what if we?
But Clee could.
I can, and I'm happy to. I'm happy to, and just maybe say, listen, they brought a petition and they want to change the site plan approval to planning board. What do you guys think? It's a citizen petition. Dick's right. Clee can. Clee will.
Well, I can change my thought process to being a little bit more supportive then. But I still think, just as a courtesy, we should probably, Norm, at least give them a heads up that a citizen's petition and the planning board agrees with it, thinks that this would be more apt under the planning board's purview. And we're looking for a thumbs up, yeah, that's good from the ZBA.
Yeah, we got to have something. And like I say, the timeline is a little bit tight.
Yeah, Clee, your attaboy's gone.
No. Well, I can, I can get on that tomorrow, or if you guys want to, maybe just, if you guys want to give them a call, just so they're not worried about talking to me. I mean,
I think it definitely should be, and I'll say Dave, I'll dump it on him, to contact ZBA. And
I'm going to contact, I'm sorry, Norm.
the Surratt, the chairman of ZBA.
Tamika, do you do their meetings too?
Yes, I do.
Ooh, we got a direct conduit right there, guys and girls.
I'm happy to help however I can help in
With
this
all due
situation.
respect, it should come from the planning office.
Okay, but you got Dick's emails and their emails and all that. You can give them to Dave.
I have it.
Oh, beautiful.
I have all that, so
Get him with an email.
I'll do that tomorrow. I'll CC you on the email so you're aware of it. And if you see fit to change the language now, it's your petition, so.
I see fit to change the language now.
Clee, I'm not giving you a suggestion, but if you came with two boxes, one with ZBA and one with planning board, and whatever happens during our meeting, that's the box you use, probably not a bad idea.
And I'll just ask them to put it on the agenda for Friday and discuss it. But the question then is, Norm, do you think staff should be there to explain why, as well as the applicant to explain why, as maybe possibly the board chair to explain why this might be a change that makes sense?
I think it wouldn't be a bad idea. That's my opinion.
I'll just put 3 people out there who might want to be involved with that.
I have that previous meeting and I'm actually at a planning board meeting in Charlton that night on May 5th. So I won't be available depending on the time. I would, maybe they just want to respond by email, each one of them. If you copied each one of them, maybe they could just, say yay or nay. I gotta be honest with you, I don't think they're gonna have one single issue with it. But as of right now, I'm changing my petition to say planning board instead of zoning board of appeals should hold a public hearing and do the site plan approval. So it's formal.
All right.
See what they say.
Norm, is that something you and Dave should, on May 5th, just basically say the board, I mean, I'll make a motion. I guess I can't. We're in the middle of a hearing. I was gonna say that the planning board endorses the change for the light industry office to be site plan and special permitted through the planning board, not the ZBA. Good one. It's not dirty.
Planning board said zoning.
I don't think a motion would be necessary on that.
Okay, I'm good.
If it comes from Clee or it's got his name on there and it's changed,
Right.
it's a citizen petition. I think that's all you need to do.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just get their comment, period.
Now, he has already said he formally changed it. He's going to change it. So I think we're back to kind of square one. We make a recommendation on the whole ball of wax, not any of that part.
Okay.
Correct.
Then Norm, I still think we should go through policies and procedures, but the fact that it's all in our ballpark now makes me a lot warm and fuzzy.
Yeah.
And I'll second that warm and fuzzy.
Yeah. Just a quick comment. This whole thing, and to be perfectly honest with you, just personally, I think this is a meaningful and positive bylaw change. But by the same token, it might also be a wake-up call to kind of, I'm going to say, reactivate the bylaw subcommittee to then maybe take up some of the stuff that Tim brought up.
Mm-hmm.
Because, the planning board can, propose zoning changes all by itself.
Yeah,
Right.
Norm, the first one would be under the business bylaw, change that to planning board, not ZBA.
Yeah.
All right. Do we, I did most of the talking. I apologize if I overtalked anybody else, but I'm good now to close this thing and move on.
Is that a motion?
Well, I wanted to ask Norm, we better ask if there's anybody from the public to ask questions.
Oh,
I don't see anybody who's asking to be heard on this matter who's in the public.
There's a Tamika Williams here, or Tamika Murphy. Does she get any? Oh, okay.
Realized halfway through the meeting that I had signed in as Ron and it said Ron St. Angelo. And I was like, oh, Ron's in the meeting. And then I was like, oh, no, that's me. Because I changed my name.
I was wondering about that.
Oh, it all makes sense. It's been a long day.
All right. If nobody's got any comments, Norm, I'll make a motion to close the hearing.
I'll second that.
Okay. Do we have any discussion on the closure?
It's 8:19, is it? Something like that?
8:23. Hearing no discussion, roll call vote. Dick,
Aye.
Marilyn,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Norm, aye.
Hello.
Oh,
Oh,
Sean's here.
Sean.
Aye. Thank you.
Yeah.
Do we need a motion, Norm, to endorse this?
We need a motion to make our recommendation.
Okay. I guess I make a motion to, oh crap, I forget the, favorably recommend this to the town.
With the change that I made.
Yeah.
I will second.
All right.
Any discussion on that? Okay, here we go. Roll call vote. Sean, so I don't forget you.
That's right. Aye.
Dick,
Aye.
Marilyn,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye,
Norm,
With-
I.
with enthusiasm.
We now have a positive recommendation.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Whew.
It was a good discussion too. I mean, that was good.
It
back and
was.
forth. It was really good.
Mhm.
I have a question, nothing to do with this. There's more stuff on my site, on my subdivisions at the end of the meeting. Can I bail or do you need me to stick around for all of that?
Close it down.
I can bail?
I think you know, Maple Hill, we do have a report from Quinn that doesn't say much of anything. We have a report on Bear Hill. I'm not sure if we have one on Bryce Lemon. I don't think so.
Nothing for Bryce Lemon.
Yeah, or Brintnal Estates. So
Yeah. However, Norm, if I could just interrupt, this was a little bit of an issue on real estates relative to whether a sidewalk should be around the entire cul-de-sac bulb or not. And there's been a request that that be considered, I don't know what you want to call it, but it probably shouldn't have been shown on the plans, but somehow it was.
I always thought it stopped at the cul-de-sac.
In Bryce Lemon, they did. For some reason, they put it on the plan all the way around the cul-de-sac in this one, and Carl Hulkran and Joe Buckley both agreed, and I don't want to put words in their mouth, but they spoke to Tom and both agreed that it should stop before the cul-de-sac. That way it doesn't mess up with how the driveways come in, you know, around the circle there.
I'm probably amenable to that if there were streetlights there.
Oh, no.
It's okay by me.
No. Only 4,000 watt regular standard bulbs.
They just wanted me to make sure that I sent an email to Dave. They just wanted me to make sure that the planning board was aware and that they didn't want to be stepping on your toes. That's all.
I want to suggest that we consider that a field change.
I like that.
Is that, Norm, is that all cul-de-sacs or just that one?
We only have one in Maple Hill Estates.
Okay.
But I always thought it was all of them.
It's the way it was done in Bryce Lemon, and there's a lot of
Okay.
cul-de-sacs in there.
So is this another Julian mistake that you get some money back?
I don't know. Actually, if we correct it, then it's okay. No harm, no foul.
Do you need me to make a motion that this is a field change or just to get it in the record, or?
I think it wouldn't be a bad idea.
I make a motion that the sidewalk design on the cul-de-sac in Maple Hill Estates is changed to end before the cul-de-sac and it's considered a field change, not a major modification.
And I'll second that.
Any discussion on it? Hearing none. Sean,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Marilyn,
Aye.
Dick,
Aye.
Norm, I.
Now, one more thing on those. Mika, you were copied on an email that I got from Melissa from the Concom today, but nobody from the planning board was copied on that email. And you with me, Tamika?
Yes, the one for, which one,
It's
cause
about
she
Oakley.
referenced for Oakley Drive or for the,
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna take care of that and I'm gonna answer that, but I
okay,
just I was gonna send it over to the planning board tomorrow and I already spoke to Kyle Hulkran on it today.
sure,
You could just share that with them when they talk about Bryce Lemon and then just know that I'm answering all the issues and I'm already dealing with Kyle on it. So
sure, absolutely, I'll update them at the, May 4th meeting.
yeah, even if you have the email available to you now and you can just read it to them or whatever, send it to them that.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Other than that, I'm all set. And thank you for everything tonight. You guys appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Clee.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Clay.
Bye now.
Okay, Next, we have a hearing on a proposed bylaw amendment to the Article 12 marijuana establishments. Again, this is a citizen's petition. And I believe we have the text. I think we do. Of the proposed change. Do we have anyone that wants to talk to this?
Yeah, I can go over it. Excuse me. Well, I submitted this petition hopefully to make it a little more easier for this bylaw was very lengthy, and I understand everybody did put their due diligence in it. But one of the things that I think left out, people that could really benefit from this, is something that would also let the businesses themselves work a little bit easier, because there's so many, marijuana has so many different licenses, but they all work together. And there's nothing to say that, I mean, there's no Massachusetts law to say that they can't be all in one. But Rutland kind of has it where things are in different zoning. So I'm hoping to bring more sense to this. It just like to make more sense, practical sense, that is, and to show that it's practical land use. One of the major, I mean, I guess we should just start from the top, I guess. And yeah, that up. Okay. So when the zonings were put in for different licenses, I understand that it was more so where it might have been thought that where we wanted, the marijuana to be sold and used in our town. The locations, the things that work together is what I'm trying to combine. And I can go in more so later on the zoning, but for when when you have a grower one end of the town, that person can have a license to sell at the other end of the town and a license to manufacture again in another part of the town. It kind of puts hardship on that business owner to attain these properties, plus transport the product. So one of the changes that I'm asking to combine, which is the zoning, okay, I'm trying to find my spot because the page, I have a different printout. We can do in different play work. Under cultivator, okay, and now let me go to with the zoning. As we know, the town adopted a agricultural bylaw for to help farmers out. Now I remember when this was all being written, because as you know, I didn't really, I had to abstain from a lot of it. The um, the word variance, we figure you can just ask, but then I later learned through Dave, unless it's otherwise stated that one can ask on the bylaw, you couldn't, so it's kind of moot. So, so cultivation. One of the people that I believe that could benefit from this, in which they're not allowed, would be the farmers that are in town. Unfortunately, Rutland doesn't have a agricultural zone. Everything's listed in the R60. So I'm hoping to change the zoning, which will allow farmers, because see, besides their retail, which the town only has one right now, Rutland is allotted for up to 5 cultivators. But where are you going to put it? It's located in the industrial, which is fine, but the places that industrial is listed in, where in areas of town, isn't very practical, especially if you're going to do different types of grow, which this product can be grown outside, can be grown inside. So that's one of the changes that I'm hoping to have to make. The other one under manufacturer to have be put in the same district is one of the things that it's just practical to have all. If a cultivator is going to grow, like I said, and have different licenses, can obtain the same, the licenses to have it shipped all over the place. So it kind of gives a one shot. I'm sorry, you guys got. Speaking of rough days, I'm really surprised I'm even here. Just makes better sense to have these licenses in the area where it can be utilized. The land is more, there's more open space. Okay, so, here's what I have. For some reason, you guys, I did send in, I did email you guys a separate that had the reasons for. I'm surprised. Yeah, but I have the copy I have has the reasons above each of the changes. So
If I could, Sean, I have 2 versions of this back to back. Let me scroll down and tell me if you want me to stop at one of these other sections. So here's what we have from the top to the bottom is this. You have this.
Yeah, okay. I emailed just for, I mean, this is the copy of the warrant. I emailed you guys a copy of the one that I was going to print out, which had the reasons too. And that one has, in the top location, I actually have the graph, not just the wording. So I have the graph listed.
I don't know that I have that. I have what was submitted to the town clerk.
Well, I know I emailed it to everybody to have a copy of it. Anyways, cultivator, manufacturer, retailer, these are all licenses that can go together in one area. Now I could and I said most of the farms, they have the land to grow the acreage, whether they want to do indoor or out, because it all goes on square feet. The smallest is 4,000 square feet. I believe 4,000. The largest is 100,000 square feet. So you need the space. And one of the things that the the agricultural bylaw, it's marijuana is not listed in it. And so again, if otherwise written, it's not allowed. So that's that part. And here's the reasons I have. The R60 district, well, let me do this because, you know, guys, I have an awful voice and I'm really, my allergies are really good. Let me email this. I know, let me find the date that I email it to everybody. And then it gives the reasons. I apologize. I emailed it now. I figured everybody would have had the chance to read it.
Sean,
Yes.
I have a question. We, as most people know, I was the chairman of the planning, the bylaw subcommittee, excuse me, when we wrote the initial laws. And at that time, this whole thing was very new to Massachusetts, and they've spent the last couple of years anyway refining their laws. Is it fair to say that this would bring a lot of the laws up to the current standards set by the Marijuana Commission?
No, only because these uses were already allowed. Other places besides Rutland, cultivators, you know, they already have it where it's not so spread out. I believe the town placed where they thought another entity felt would be the best use for the town, in which in all practicality it's not. And um, and I have you know, with the R6, I understand it's residential. Now my main idea is to help, besides put the licenses all in one spot, is to help farms. And I mean, I have it here, but how you all can read it, but I just want to read this for now. The R60 districts where farms of the town are located, as farms are decreasing in this state due to the income that they bring in, this change will allow farms to use cannabis as a supplemental income. Under the current zoning bylaw, it does not. The R60 district is also where most of the undeveloped land, and this will allow legally licensed operations to set up shop, which will bring increased revenue to the town. Now, I say undeveloped land. Right now, it's developed as farming. If farms go under, and we saw this up at the center of town with the Davis farm, it's going to get developed. You know, the farms, you know, they're going to sell a farm. I mean, I really wish you even had it. This is a lot. You know, this bylaw is just so lengthy. So that's the first one, is to change the zoning only for it's not every type of license, just these very specific: cultivator, manufacturer, micro business, retailer. Because this will allow a farm to do everything in one area, which will not create hardship of having, you know, buying different properties throughout the town. And I mean, the logistics of it is just not practical. So that's the locations. The under the other conditions and requirements. Okay. One LME, no special permit granted under this article shall be two more LMEs on the same parcel land. That's where you get the combinings. Because a marijuana establishment is cultivation. They're all different establishments. So you'd have to change this one in order to allow them all to be in one area. Okay, the change. Okay, read to okay. 3 LME only. Okay, so if you go down to the change, this will allow to have 3: manufacturing, cultivation, retail, uh, all in one. Change. Okay, so under other conditions or requirement, uh, okay, right now you don't have, you can't, okay, in other towns, a retailer can sell items other than the actual flower or edible, or they can sell the paraphernalia to smoke it. They can sell, shirts. There's a lot of uh, revenue that can be taxable revenue that other towns are getting, uh, instead of just the product itself. This gives you a business opportunity to increase your revenue as well as bring more revenue, taxable revenue into town. That way, if I have a, say I'm selling, I have uh, this line of marijuana, and I feel it should be smoked out of this type hookah, whatever. I think that that business should have the availability, which they have in other towns, not in Rutland, to sell that on top of it. One of the changes, on-site consumption. Now this is all pretty lengthy. Now the change that I'm asking is only to have to say when the state says it's okay to allow for this. Because let's say if the state comes out tomorrow, and they're changing all the time. I mean, they're now doing deliveries, and uh, you know, it's changing all the time. This will give the business owner uh, the opportunity to, when the state says this is change, to follow the state's rule, not so much as the town's rule. Um, right now, there are no social private club, blah, blah, blah. But if you read um, the changes that permitted by state law or regulation. So I'm down to 88 restrictions and prohibitions. 20% for the retail. The Cannabis Control Commission, as well as the state, does not set an amount retail stores that a town can have. Um, if a town wanted to have 100 stores, they're allowed to. The state leaves it up to the municipality. Well, when you just have one store, it kind of creates a monopoly, creates unfair business. It's not fair to other individuals, I believe, that who want to get into this market. And it also gives, it creates monopoly. I mean, that's pretty much the reasons for this change. The, and in this change, I'm only asking to have 2. That way you can at least have competition. After giving some thought and the taxable income that this town needs and the opportunity for little, if for this cultivator to grow, to do that, to have it at least equal the amount of liquor licenses that are in town. Uh, there's no reason why it shouldn't at least equal the amount of alcoholic beverages, liquor licenses. I don't see any difference between the two, except alcohol is, more, it's federally allowed, but we're talking, it's, the licenses are granted by the state, as well as the marijuana licenses are granted by the state. And if you allow for more retail shops to come in town, it'll give for better competition It will create a better market for the consumer, and it will also increase the taxable income that comes into the town. The right now. Okay, so I'm down. Okay, to restriction prohibitions. Okay, to add a section to D to restriction. Now this is where you know, I understand you're residential. That's homes. You know, the normal homeowner want to be able to obtain the license. They just don't realize why every uh, resident is allowed to have 12 plants. But we're talking about personal use. And so I put these restrictions in that will, and I'm amenable to increase it because I wasn't really when I went to the agricultural commission meeting. Uh, the one gentleman, he made a good point. I put at least a landowner had to have at least 3 acres solely dedicated to the LME establishment. So this will stop, like, my neighbor who only has, I mean, half to obtain a license. Uh, and so, and in a buffer of 50 feet from any occupied structure. Now that's the landowners without for the personal home. I'm amenable to like the buffer to the neighbors stuff that could be. I'm amenable to have that increased. Excuse me, I need to wet my whistle. The amount of pollen that's in the air, and my lungs as they are, anyways. You have to excuse me. So that's pretty much it. The main thing is to allow farmers to cultivate into more practical where cultivation can be done. I just didn't think it was fair that, when marijuana came to the state, I'm sure a lot of farmers were like, yeah, I can get into that. And we're not talking hemp. It's a completely different entity. We're talking adult use cannabis. So when the town adopted the bylaw to get into the marijuana industry, not having it zoned in that area, kind of left all those people out. And I just didn't think that that was fair. Because if you can have a brewery, you can have disc golf, we're talking supplemental income. Why not allow them that? Now I understand. I thought maybe, okay, so I can go ahead and maybe change the agricultural bylaw in order to just kind of not create headbanging. The state of Massachusetts right now does not consider marijuana agriculture, even though it is a plant. It's not. It's it's a different type of vegetable. But yeah, so changing the zoning. Well, what I'm not actually asking to change the zoning because I'm actually to change the bylaw itself I'm not asking to change area zones, I'm just, allowable uses, in that. I guess that's it. I'm sorry if I'm rambling, it's late. I, yeah. Any questions? And I'm sorry to be so vague, I'm, I have a lot going on right now, forgive me. So can I answer your questions or, hello?
Questions, comments from the board?
It's going to be interesting to see what happens in the future for federal. You know, the APR is federal money is used to purchase the development rights. So we can't put anything like that on our land. And there's a lot of it in town. There's a lot of APR land in town. So,
But there are farms that don't have APR.
well, there are, but
A farmer that has APR could have the opportunity to pull a certain bit of land out of it. But now I understand what all that involves, and how they would go about doing that, and what the federal government,
yeah, that would require a congressional vote to take a certain piece of property out, and you have to pay the state back the money plus whatever. So it's going to be too costly to to pull it out of the APR. So,
John, have you got any feedback on this from anybody? I mean, I'm struggling. I haven't got anybody giving me feedback. Anybody, hasn't mentioned anything to me about this. So I don't have a lot of, with the previous bylaw we talked about, I was getting feedback, but with this one I haven't. So I'm trying
feedback from whom, Tim?
Citizens. I mean, has anybody read this and given you any comments? Because
well, I went door to door, explained this to a lot of people, and I did speak with and I did attend and give, did an informational session with AgCom. I didn't ask for any support there. It was just kind of like to get the idea. And I don't want to say I can read faces, because I really can't, but I can see wheels turning.
okay. I mean, I think it's a great idea for farms. I'm just trying to get an idea of because again, we're gonna be asked for if we supporting this or not, and I don't. To me, I just don't have enough. I don't know.
Well, what you see, you don't have enough information. What information do you need besides, I mean, input from people? I mean,
I guess I feel I don't have the right. I don't know enough about marijuana to be. the bylaw I understood when we went through it. I got that.
Yeah, you don't really need to know anything about marijuana except that the Massachusetts Commonwealth allows it. That's not to throw anybody under the bus, but I've heard from several members of a certain board who have concerns about what the federal government can do. And my discussion with this person is that person took an oath to uphold state law.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about, Sean. Yeah. He or she is not a federal officer. They're a state officer. Big difference.
Yeah, I mean Massachusetts.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean it's allowed in the state. The state wanted marijuana, not because of what pot is, I mean, or what it does, or why people smoke it. They wanted cannabis because of the revenue it creates. look at these. I mean, I can only guess that it's jumping on the bandwagon. And look at the other states. Virginia just decriminalized it. Maryland decriminalized it. Other
We-
states are seeing the revenue that it generates. And if it's going to generate revenue, why have the revenue go to someone who's unlicensed? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it says special permits in here. Is that for retail? Is that run through the select board or is that run through the planning board? For the number of special permits for retail, LME, is that something that goes through? Because when I see special permits, I immediately think of the planning board.
Right, in this particular case, the special permit granting authority for all actions relative to this bylaw is the planning board.
Okay, so this would have, Dave, this would have to come through the planning board then. Okay, I'm fine with that. But the R60, is that, Sean, is that any R60 zone or is that?
Well, unfortunately, yes. If you look at the zoning map,
Yeah.
it's just where the land is. Well, and that's where, not just the land, because the restrictions that I put in here wouldn't give everybody in that residential zone.
Okay.
Give a farmer the opportunity because they have the land. Unless you have 3 acres solely dedicated to that establishment. Now, I used to say, I guess, someone could, buy an estate lot, which is 5.
Yeah.
So they 2 acres for the house, and they'll have 3 other acres.
But you've got a minimum of 3 acres, so that's
Yeah.
what's designating a farm area in the R60 zone.
Yeah, I mean, I
Okay.
don't want just everybody to do it. I mean, I wanted to really visualize this to help the farmers. I didn't even think about rewriting this until after I spoke with Dave about the agricultural bylaw and the allowable uses. Since it's not stated in there, they couldn't use this because it's not zoned.
Okay.
So
If I could just comment on that for a second. So
sure, yeah.
just because, I mean, so if the use is not listed in, so the use is not listed in the agricultural accessory use bylaw, which should be troubling because that bylaw is relying on the agricultural exemption of 48.3. In order to benefit from the agricultural accessory use bylaw, one has to establish that the principal use is agriculture as that is understood under 48.3. 48.3 specifically excludes marijuana in the text of 48.3.
Well, yeah, it wouldn't even be allowed anyways.
In the agricultural accessory use bylaw itself isn't troubling because you go to the statute and the references to 48.3 to establish the principal use. So, and as furthermore, the board wanted a legal opinion regarding whether marijuana was allowed as an agricultural use, and the board got that.
And it's not.
It was not.
Yeah, it's not. So I don't even think you couldn't even change the agricultural bylaws until the state says that cannabis is considered agriculture. Changing the marijuana bylaw, though, in the zoning that in it will give that landowner, that farmer, to use this business as supplemental income and not have to go through the agricultural, not to say that, well, this isn't agriculture. Of course it's not. But we're not listing it as agriculture. And we're not using it as agricultural tourism. We're using this as a supplemental income for a farmer to have, which otherwise it's not zoned for. Because if it was considered agriculture, I wouldn't have to go. I guess I wouldn't even be here because I wouldn't have had to write this. You know what I mean? If the state already considered it, I guess it would be allowed. So this gives, I don't want to call it an out, but it gives an opportunity for that farm to do this. When it comes to agricultural zones, do other towns have zoned areas that are, I mean,
To the best of my knowledge, no, they don't. They're tied in with our 60s.
yeah,
I did ask the Board of Assessors one time about if the agricultural could be pulled out, and they weren't too happy about trying to do something like that. They just soon left to, leave it alone. So, but that was some years ago that I've asked. Because I thought if it was zoned agriculture, we could only hang on to agricultural land a lot better, maybe. But I guess they just didn't want to do it. Probably more to it than what I thought.
and forgive me if I'm wrong, Dave, maybe you can answer this for me. The reasons why the state wants to promote agricultural tourism and to promote farms to have entities which are otherwise zoned for is because farmers need the help with the income, that they're knowing that the product that they're growing or making, whether it's manure to corn, they're not selling enough of it to pay their bills. And at least this way they will.
Well, it shouldn't be up just farmers, just anybody that has a piece of property,
True, yeah. I mean, that wasn't my intent.
Yeah. I would say anything with over 3 acres. And there is right now House Bill 91 where they're trying to lower from 5 acres to, I think it's 3 acres, Chapter 61 land. So I don't know if that's going to make it through or not, but it's in the process of being hearings on it right now.
And when you come, I mean, when APR land's it's not taxed, right? Like a farmer doesn't pay taxes, federal taxes.
Yeah, we pay taxes. It's
Okay.
not as stiff because you cannot develop it.
Yeah.
It's non-developable. So, but you still pay taxes on it. But yeah.
And the other changes that I made, it's just practical on a business sense. Now, I'm not going to advocate, what's better, marijuana, alcohol. Oregon right now has legalized heroin. I mean, it's non-criminal. I mean, I'm not going to argue what it is. I'm just going to argue what's now allowed. And to say one over the other, it should at least be, and I'm talking about the liquor licenses, should at least be, I know a lot of people that use marijuana that don't drink. And I'm sure vice versa.
Well,
yeah, I would still like to see a limitation of it. One for a better market, so not one business that has a monopoly. I mean, what if there was only one barbershop? I mean, I don't know. It's just not fair for the consumer to have to go to only that one spot, and it's not fair for the free. I don't know if it's the free market. I'm not a business major. I'm a psych major, and let's not even go down that road. So I'm not saying that go ahead and let as many as not to put a limit as some towns, to at least equal, put a cap of equal the amount of liquor licenses. So that way it gives equal opportunity.
All right. Well, speaking of equal opportunity, Sean, I think it's getting about time to wrap up.
Yeah, please, just wow.
Right, so I don't see anybody in the audience who has an interest in speaking on this matter.
So where do we go with this one? Is this another one we got to vote to, having a brain death, because I feel dicks, I'm too late, I can't think. To vote to endorse?
Well, I don't know. I have some comments.
Oh, good, Norm, because I want to hear them, because I can't form any comments. I'm just, yeah.
And to be perfectly honest with you, it doesn't really have to do with marijuana. My concern, and I'll start with the LME locations section. It has to do more with a consistency within our bylaws. And I don't know, I'll start with, okay, allowing a marijuana retailer in the R60 zone. So someone comes in, says, yeah, I want to open up a marijuana retail shop in an R60 zone. And then the next day, someone else comes in and says, hey, I want to open up a shoe store in an R60 zone. No, you can't do that.
Well, isn't all
or
you can chime in on that when it comes to business licenses that are allowable in residential?
But if agriculture and residential is the same and the shoe is made out of horsehide,
well, that's something else.
yeah.
And I'll carry it a step further. This person, wants to open a shoe shop, and then okay, they do that, and then the next thing they say, well, yeah, I'm going to open up a shoe factory.
Yeah.
That would be the same thing as a marijuana product manufacturer.
Yeah.
The marijuana cultivator, I could see some sort of, I don't know, I'll say a little bit of reasonableness on that one. But I'll say particularly those bottom three, it just seems as though, why are we giving, marijuana businesses favoritism over even liquor stores, shoe store, a dress shop, any of them.
Yeah.
And to me, that just seems to be a very basic inconsistency. That's, I think, probably my biggest problem here.
I believe my reasons for doing it was that, like with the brewery, not only do they sell, they manufacture. They're, what can I say? Commercial scales, okay. You can have a small farm grow the rhubarb, make the rhubarb pie, and sell it. Now they're not. And we're not talking about a rhubarb pie factory like tabletop pies. We're talking about a cultivator that would be able to manufacture on a small scale and sell it, as a almost kind of like a farmer's market deal, which is allowed in other towns. And the biggest thing is you got to think of the revenue that this is going to bring. Not
So the 12 plants that people can plant in the R60 zone on their backyard, they can turn around, bring it to the market garden, and turn around and sell it. Is that what
well, you have to have I mean, I don't know what I don't think that it's there right now.
Yeah, they don't allow that, but maybe.
But it will give you the opportunity for it to create a brick and mortar shop.
Yeah.
Sorry for my stammering. I haven't even eaten yet.
John, because I guess I'm piggybacking off Norm's. I'm struggling with the retailer too, because you need 3 acres. I get that. So anybody with 3 acres could basically open up a retail marijuana facility. Again, if they get the license, anywhere in an R60 zone, but we don't allow that for businesses in anywhere in R60. So
I mean, Dave, I remember speaking with you about allowable uses on businesses in residential areas. Do you remember that discussion?
Not offhand. I mean, is there more information? What?
Well, how about home occupation? I mean, that's only, you're good up to what, 2 people.
All right, Dick, I get that. So Dick, off of that note, if somebody could start a business, like which would be equivalent to Norm's point of, let's say, a shoe manufacturer, and as long as they keep it below 2 people, they could get a major home occupancy permit and operate a business in a R60 zone, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that gives a little bit more credence to this.
Well, wait a second. It's not. It has to be related to the principal use of the site as a dwelling. At least that's how the bylaw is constructed. Whether that's the practice or not, I don't know, because we haven't dealt with the home occupation since I've been here. But there has to be a connection to the home occupation, and there has to be a connection to the occupation and the principal use as a residence. But it's not so wide open, I don't believe, as.
Let's see, we had didn't the oil company, I'm trying to think the number of people that major home occupation, yeah. Home heating oil guy down there in the old Parker building in Holden, in Rutland.
All I'm trying to do is get a sense of, is to Norm's point, is it fair to the other types of businesses that could potentially be in town? Are we given an unfair advantage? That's the only thing. I like Norm's comment. That's why I was trying to justify in my mind if that made sense, if we had another avenue for those other small businesses like the farming. Because again, the farmer's not going to be, my assumption is the farmer's not going to have 60 people there working, but maybe that's a bad assumption.
Yeah, you go to major home occupation, and then they're going to have to move out and go to a business district or light industrial, whatever.
Yeah, but Dick, to Norm's point, if this bylaw would pass, the marijuana cultivator, product manufacturer, micro business, and retail wouldn't have to do that, as long as they had 3 acres.
Right.
And that's where I agree with Norm. I'm struggling with giving one business an advantage over another.
Wow. This is.
We have to remember this still goes through a special permit, and it's up. There's it just doesn't open it up. There's this, it's still regulated. So, it, you know, it's not,
Regulated by the cannabis control.
no, it's regulated by the planning board. It's under special permit. So when a site plan review comes up, if, it doesn't meet the parameters under the planning board's purview, I mean, there's still a lot of control over it. It's not just, opening up a shoe store, or opening up, a sign company or whatever with just two people. No, they can do that. How is that fair when to get into this, it's not. So there's, it's an argument that can not, it's a immovable object, unstoppable force type thing. If I got that out right, it could be argued in ways. At least with the cannabis industry, it is still a highly regulated entity that it's
Well,
so much shooter.
And what we've been discussing, how does the cannabis control people feel, about it?
The Cannabis Control Commission, their blank statement is, we leave it up to the municipalities.
They do.
We need to what?
They leave it up to the municipalities.
Oh, okay, thank you.
As long as you meet their guidelines
For the business.
for whatever business, because they have, it's like 150 feet.
Well, maybe, are we stepping on their feet too, or I don't know.
No, it wouldn't be stepping on, because we're not trying to change the state law of it. We're
But
trying.
isn't the state the one that set up the number of distributions and
No,
who can grow it?
no. The state does say that if a town or city allows marijuana to be grown, they adopt it, they allow it, they have to at least meet 20% of the liquor licenses. So if like right now, Rutland by law has to have at least one. They can't deny it.
Right.
Doesn't mean that they can have more than one. So if the liquor license, if someone wants to get another liquor license, Rutland will, by state law, have to allow two. They couldn't stop it. You know what I mean? So there's no cap on it. There's only a cap on the limitation that a town can put a stop to it.
Now, this liquor licenses, though, haven't we reached our maximum for Rutland?
Not after Schultz asked for another one. Whoops, did I say that out loud?
But I thought we had reached it, though.
Is Leah still on, or is she gone?
Now, does that go by state, the amount of liquor license that a town can have? Or, see, I grew up in a small mill town, and there was a bar, on every corner. So, and an ABC store right next to it.
I'm not familiar with the liquor licenses in this town. I thought there used to be, we could have 4 or 5 or something like that, and as the population grew, so couldn't the number of liquor license be issued. So I thought we had reached it already, but I may be wrong.
I don't know, Leah, do you have any comment on that?
I don't know off the top of my head. I don't think that we are at our capacity for liquor license, but I don't know off the top of my head what that capacity is and where we are in relation to it.
So we may be stepping a little bit over at the moment. We don't know.
Yeah, and I don't know because I think there were a couple businesses that had liquor licenses that went out, but then a couple others moved in that have them. And then I'm not sure if the farm brewery, I don't think is counted in I'm not sure how that's counted in. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I can try to find out.
I'd like to know myself just to get somewhat caught up on it.
Yeah, definitely. I'll find out.
Okay.
Well, it seems to me that the major question here is whether or not to put it in, or rather confine it to the residential district, and should it be in some other district such as under the agricultural laws? And that might
can't put it under agricultural because the state doesn't. You can't call it agriculture.
I mean, there are plenty of these businesses around the state. Do you know what residential districts they're under?
I couldn't tell you on the zoning areas on what shop. I don't frequent pot shops.
That's what I meant. I'm sorry. I should have said what zoning areas are permitted in towns and other towns in Massachusetts.
Yeah,
Maryland,
again, they left it up to that municipality.
am I correct in Rutland? We basically allow the TCs in the business areas for marijuana, retail, micro business, and stuff like that. Is that correct?
I couldn't really speak to that with authority, but it sounds very familiar.
Okay.
Dave, yeah, I'm sorry, I have the bylaw here for that. So marijuana,
yeah.
Allowed in the town center too, and village center. The other ones are typically allowed in light industrial office, and village center. So,
all right. So we specifically, Dave, tied it to sections of Rutland, is what we tied it to, correct?
Yeah, in a roundabout way, in as much as it's tied to commercial zoning districts, which exist in certain parts of town.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what this would do would open it up to all the outlying areas in the R6 with more than 3 acres of property.
It appears to be the case, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Well, also the 50 feet next to any structure. So if you have, and that's not the neighbor, we're talking about the farmer's home in itself.
But that's not really what it says.
You not put 50 feet.
I mean, it seems to me this is saying that if you have the 3 acres of land, it doesn't matter what's next to it as long as you have 3 acres.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at, man.
Read what's written. It's in the last part on the section D in regards to any manner
Totally dedicated total like that.
So you got a buffer of 50 feet in the 3 acres. Okay, I see that.
Any
occupied
structure.
But there's nothing that ties that to. Can you only have 3 acres? That's my question. Or
no, you have to be able to dedicate. Well, I don't know how that's. Well, my idea was you have to put aside 3 acres of that property.
Right, but it doesn't.
I guess you could use more if you have it, but you can't.
Is there anything? No, that's not my question. if I had, can I go to person with a chunk of land and say, can I buy 3 acres? I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna manufacture.
Well, Marilyn, you're talking about leasing out 3 acres.
Yeah, you could do that.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I will become a leasing expert in Rutland. No, but I see what you're saying, because with the 3 acres minimum, you could lease out 3 acres of property to somebody. I don't know.
I mean, it doesn't really tie it unless I missed it. I read this a few times and it gets a little confusing. There's nothing that seems to me to tie it to a larger possible, you know, that you need to have there's no specification on how many acres you have to do this.
No, yeah, you can have as many acres as you want, but you have, it's just so, like, it's using Norm. His house sits on and I don't know what the
10 acres.
property is. Well, you have 10 acres?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go back to someone. Let's go to me. I hate to use me as an example, but I live down there and it's 100 feet by 150 feet. It's my little postage stamp. I'm in the R60. Could I apply for a cultivation, retail, or any other one that's licensed? No, because I couldn't set at least 3 acres. I mean, so.
Whoa, wait a minute. If I'm reading that, the applicant can solely dedicate a total of 3 acres to an establishment. So in other words, he's not saying it has to be 3 acres. It can be a half an acre, but you're going to have 6 different properties with it to total a 3 acre.
Okay, then that wasn't my intent, and I do understand how you gotta get the wording right.
Yeah, so it's not written where 3 acres is the minimum. It's you know, that has to be changed.
And that lead can solely dedicate.
Dedicate.
Would it be dedicate 3 acres on a single piece of property? Contiguous piece of property, yeah. Sean, you know you can modify this on the floor, correct? Even since it's already in place.
One of the floor motions I was going to make was to equal the amount of liquor license as well.
I'm just kind of curious, the 50-foot buffer. So suppose, well, let's take my place as an example. I have 10 acres. I could clear and dedicate 3 acres. Would I have to have that 3 acres 50 feet away from my house?
I'd say yes, Norm. If you're
that was my
structure.
I felt. I mean, I'm not saying I wanted, but I just thought it would be better to separate it. That I mean, I wanted to put restriction on. I don't know if that was the right restriction. I just didn't want it to be like. I wanted people to have the opportunity, but to at least to work for it. You know what I mean? I still want it regulated. I still want restrictions put on it. I mean, anybody, can grow it right now, but to sell it, that's even that might change. But my idea was that land use that cultivation is even zoned for currently, it really doesn't give opportunity for someone to what would be kind of undue hardship see, down at the Sims building, if I wanted to do an outdoor grow, I'd have to rip up all that asphalt, or I mean, it's just not practical. And we're talking about uh, practicality in the
Well, to the rest of the board and maybe Dave, I've got a question for you. This is more of a high question. If this would be put before the town and it wouldn't pass, does that put this into what I used to remember, that if a bylaw or something gets shot down, it's got to wait 2 or 3 years to come back to the town? Am I correct in that assumption?
In this case, I don't really know because someone could come back with a different amendment to the
Okay,
bylaw.
that was the only thing I was going to question, because if there's a lot of questions still out there, and we've sort of said that we're maybe amicable to putting bylaw changes on in the fall. Does this make sense to get some of this stuff cleaned up and maybe work with Marilyn, Sean, and get this cleaned up for the fall town meeting?
no, because we're talking time and money here.
Okay. Well, that's why I wanted to make sure that if this gets shot down, you're not put into a quote 2-year waiting to bring it back before the town. That was the only thing I wanted to bring up, and because again, I don't know. I know in some bylaws, if they, like the growth bylaw, if that would have gotten shot down, that was a couple years in waiting before it can come back, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
Yeah, and like I say, I don't know. I guess you'd almost have to get a legal opinion, but
Yeah.
but for example, growth bylaw. There were several recommendations from that committee
Mm-hmm.
for helping to control growth. We chose one of them.
Yeah.
But if that got shot down, does that mean we couldn't have come back with one of the other?
No.
Yeah.
I was just thinking the specific norm,
Yeah.
the specific
So,
one. So that's why I didn't want Sean to get boxed into a corner with this bylaw that he can't do anything about it in case that it doesn't go through town meeting. That's the only thing I was thinking of.
Yeah. Okay, anybody else? Any questions, comments?
I really like the concept behind this, that we need to promote, these types of industries in Rutland. And I agree with Sean that they're doing them all over the state. But I'm not sure if this is the way to do it. For example, there's I don't remember exactly what they call it, but it's opportunities for people who don't have a lot of money to get into this type of, to get into this industry. And I think there's a few more things that I would like to see included in it. And I would like to see it cleaned up a little bit. But as you say, that's my opinion.
If you're talking about people of not disparage, people who have or
For example, there's a young man there in Leominster who's opening a store, I think it is. And he's the one that got me thinking about this. And idea of it is that it's low income people, some people who are kind of marginally on the edges of society that have opportunities. It's quite highly structured, and it's part of the commission, and they have several other levels of opportunities like that. I'd like to see maybe some of those incorporated in here.
well, I don't think, to be honest with you, Marilyn, that's a state legislature. Now, when the town does submit an RFI, they're supposed to take into account of the guidelines that people of disproportion, I guess that's what I'm talking about, of disproportion, when they weigh in on granting these agreements, they're supposed to take that into account. Now, whether that was done already, I don't know. I wasn't on the committee, but that opportunity is given through the state. A person can go to the Cannabis Control Commission and apply for a social equity. That's what I'm looking for. A social equity license. Uh, and there's guidelines to see that what qualifies them, like veteran, or if someone has been the war on drugs, they get caught, which I don't really agree, because if you broke the law back then, you shouldn't get rewarded for it now. But people who were like arrested, if you have a marijuana offense on your record, you can get leeway on some of these licenses, which
Well, I think that we could investigate some of those programs. I mean, that, there are a lot of other opportunities and changes in the uh, Massachusetts rules and regulations that the commission has come up with in the last, I've forgotten when it was actually established.
but as to this current bylaw, that wouldn't affect it because it's already in place.
As to our current bylaw in town,
Yeah,
is that your question?
yeah, it's already in place. You on the state level. I mean, I
On the
don't know.
state level, there's been a lot of new programs and the state has rewritten not their basic laws, but there's been a lot of changes taken place. That commission is a very active organization, and they have been developing their programs. So perhaps we need to look at the whole program rather than just moving the marijuana cultivation and products and micro business,
Yeah,
et cetera, into the residential district.
you're still not really. I'm sorry, you're not really quite getting it. This is about changing the zoning. There's nothing you can add to this that an applicant does not already have. Changes by change it to not who can grow it, where, well, not whatever, grow whatever, where.
So you're saying, all right,
Yeah.
I see
So
your point.
a farmer is a vet. He already has the opportunity to use that in his favor. You know what I mean? To that's one of the social equity, um, you know.
By the fact that he's a farmer.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. The
Or she.
he can still apply through the state to get. Uh, you have to read into what the social equity programs do and what they allow.
Well, I just use that one as an example.
Personally, I feel if a person, grow weed in their home backyard, grow enough of it where they want to sell it, as long as they pay their taxes on it, and ensure that at least a release of liability, or even you could say have it regulated. I mean, who knows? I feel they should have it. They should be able to. The idea um, is for accountability and taxable income. That's what licenses allow. They allow responsibility that the whoever is submitting that license, like I'm sure with the liquor license, the tavern, whatever whatever you want to call it, couldn't go in their back room, brew their own beer and sell it. Yeah. Is that? I mean, I don't know if the liquor license allows that. I don't know if that's a different license. That's a brewery. But I don't think because when you sell it, you have to make sure the guidelines are going to make it safe for the people. So whether or not the home grower is whether they're going to allow that. I mean, I am for regulating. I'm for regulations, and I put my trust in the government to keep me safe. So
All right, on that note, I make a motion to close. I'm getting tired. I gotta call it
oh my
quits.
God.
Second.
I don't know if you guys can see me, but I have to look awful.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Sean?
I can't come. I recuse myself from that issue.
Okay. Dick?
Aye.
Marilyn?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
Norm, aye. Hearing is closed. That brings us to our recommendation.
It would be nice if we had an opportunity to spend more time and go, with the bylaw subcommittee and break it down, because I think there is lots of little problems throughout this, and I feel that Sean's going to get stuck with something if it's not corrected. So I like what he's done, but I can't stand behind it. I don't know. It's just not written.
Leah, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, I just have a question. If this is voted on at town meeting and does not pass, what's the how long does it need to not be brought forth again? Or can it go through the bylaw subcommittee and be kind of reworked and then readdressed sooner than having I don't know what that period of time is, if it's brought forth and voted no versus voted no action or something.
I can't be absolutely certain, but for example, I do believe if the bylaw change is sponsored by the planning board, then there is no time requirement.
Yeah, I don't remember. I just remember FinCom was talking about something for when they were talking about their recommendations, and it was definitely a question, not specifically for this bylaw, but just or this change, but just in general, how long it needed to rest before it could be brought back if it was voted down upon.
Yeah. The other thing here is that, and I really don't know this, whether a similar amendment, but not the same amendment, would be under any kind of a time restriction. I've got a hunch the answer would be no.
Right, that's what I was wondering, if it were voted down, but then planning board and the bylaw subcommittee picked it up and kind of reworked bits and pieces of it and took it through that official channel, if then there's still that kind of sunset on it that it needs to wait. And I don't think that there is, but again, I'm not sure.
Well, that's a good point, and then we always come up on the old timeline here.
I have maybe a little bit to add to this. Under 48.5, it states that no proposed zoning ordinance or bylaw which has been unfavorably acted upon shall be considered by town meeting within 2 years after the date of such unfavorable action. unless the adoption of such proposed ordinance or bylaw is recommended in the final report of the planning board.
So, David, if we recommend this and it fails, it sounds to me like it's a 2-year waiting period to bring it back. Is that correct?
Well, unless the adoption of such proposed ordinance or bylaw is recommended in the final report of the planning board. So this appears to indicate that it can come back within 2 years if there's a favorable recommendation of the planning board.
Okay, so if we recommend this, then this thing could be brought back in an update. If we recommend it and it fails town meeting, that means to Dick's point, it could go back, or Leah's, it could go back to the bylaw subcommittee, be reworked and reintroduced this fall.
Well, it could at least be brought back to town meeting within that 2-year time period.
Yeah.
With respect to an official policy, if we're gonna go in that direction, it'd be nice to have that kind of a thing codified. Because what if I think we want to talk about that as a separate issue, but if you have competing items for zoning changes and some are brought by staff and some are brought by citizens, how do you prioritize which one gets worked on, given the limited bandwidth of one bylaw committee? So there has to be some way to reckon with all of these things, to work with the citizens who want to do zoning bylaw changes, who need assistance, but not to overload the bylaw subcommittee, and to allow for things that are being sponsored internally or by other boards and commissions to be brought and not held up with a delay.
Yeah, I think that I know you and I talked about this. I think that's where the planning board's got to, just like the RDIC with the HPDD, we'd have to give direction. We'd have to basically come up with a priority list and give the bylaw subcommittee and yourself direction on what's the top priorities. That's my opinion, at least.
But we've kind of gone off path a little bit, so at least we know what to do with the town meeting action with respect to favorable recommendations.
So it sounds like, Norm, to me, that if we don't give a favorable recommendation, this thing could be not be brought before the town for another 2 years.
Now, is that through a citizen's petition or through, like, if the planning board did this, if the citizen petition did not go through, then the bylaw subcommittee wrote this up, asked for the town to vote on it, and they denied it. It's 2 years, but is it the same as a citizen petition?
Right, so the bylaw is silent as to who brings the zoning ordinance, the proposed zoning ordinance or bylaw. It's silent on that issue. I think the operative piece here is an entity brings a proposed zoning bylaw, acting favorably or unfavorably, recommendation or no recommendation before the planning board. Those seem to be the operative aspects of the statute.
Now, is this a zoning, but this is, I'm not trying to change the zoning bylaw. I'm trying to change I'm not.
Well, you're trying to change the zoning bylaw. Article 12 is marijuana LME. Licensed marijuana establishments is Article 12 in the zoning bylaw. The changes that you have here are changes to Article 12. So it is a zoning change that you're proposing.
Okay, yeah, I was just thinking about the zone in itself, not what's being.
You're changing the text of the zoning bylaw. You propose to.
Leah's got her hand up.
Yeah, Leah.
Thank you. What if the planning board were to vote to recommend no action, and this is just hypothetical, to recommend no action with the caveat that conceptually or whatever, you would like to spend more time working through it and piece it out and then look for something at the fall or in the next annual, depending on the timeline of stuff. I don't know if that would change. And Sean, I don't know if, as the petitioner, if you moved no action on it to then delay it and have it go through the bylaw subcommittee and everything. I don't know how that would look. I'm sorry to just keep throwing stuff out there and kind of make it even murkier. So.
Well, I think in that case, if it's withdrawn on the floor, then there's no unfavorable action. It's still it doesn't come under this part of the statute. So that would save it in some sense of the word for another day. And then, you know, I've also been involved with town meetings where town meeting will vote to table the item and refer it back to the planning board specifically for further action. Typically that has occurred with ones that are originated by staff, but if the board is agreeable, it sounds like the board is agreeable to having a citizen's petition referred back to the bylaw subcommittee, then that direction of the town meeting would be consistent with what the board has been talking about a few times tonight.
David, I don't think the applicant or Sean basically, if I'm reading him right, is basically saying no to that.
I'm not, that's not the aspect I'm referring to. I'm just talking about the process generally.
Okay, all
How
right.
this could be changed for another day if that was to come down to a vote on the floor of town meeting.
Okay,
I'm not trying to advise the applicant one way or the other at this point, just trying to talk about the process.
yeah, okay, thanks.
So when it comes to the granting authority of the planning board, is this something that could go before the zoning board of appeals? Could they grant, say, you know, if Dick wanted to go through this, could he apply to, and could he go before the ZBA and ask for permission?
Yeah, but they can't change zoning bylaws. All they can do is grant exceptions. Am I correct in that, David?
Well, I think in this case, the permit granting authority is plainly the planning board. So there's no relief to be had by any other entity in this context because this is plainly a granted authority to the planning board. And the bylaw plainly states that items not specifically allowed in the table are not allowed. So
Okay.
this is not advisable to consider that. I think it's plain as to what the authority is here.
Okay.
I think the only place that they could go to ZBA might be if we denied a special permit for some of this.
Oh, okay.
Well, I think if a special permit was denied, the next step would be to the court of competent jurisdiction, which is typically the land court on an appeal under chapter 48, section 17.
Okay, forgive me. Did Clee just say that they granted him to have a restaurant there, though?
I'm not sure that these are similar situations.
Yeah, I mean,
I appreciate what your thought process, but I don't think these are similar. Because in this particular case, you have an LME bylaw, which specifically addresses the issue of marijuana establishments. It does plainly list out what's allowed in certain zoning districts, and it has a caveat. Any marijuana related business not listed above is not allowed in the zoning bylaw. So, that seems to be what's going to control in a case like that. So I think the board was wondering about the process for town meeting, so that would be the process. I think the board was talking about recommendations at this point or not, or otherwise.
Yeah, that's where we're stalled at right now. What do we do?
Well, I mean, I would suggest this probably needs to be brought to a landing at some point. I mean, I'm not sure what that is. That's the board's prerogative to determine how it wants to handle this matter, but.
See, Norm, I'm with Dick on this. I don't know.
I'd like to say take no action.
Yeah, because I mean, you guys convinced me, and going back and forth on the previous citizens petition, that yeah, we pulled language from existing bylaws that have already been vetted and just cut and pasted. That was sort of the push that got me over the edge, and then also taking it out of the ZBA and putting it in the planning board. This is all new. This isn't cut and paste from somewhere else within Rutland. That's what I'm struggling with right now.
Yeah, this is just a rearrangement of the current. I'm not adding anything new. I mean, as far as, you know, that you gave the example, and I'm not, I think what he's trying to do is the whole zone, which,
Yeah, Sean, I'm not.
yeah, I think you went about it the wrong way
Yeah,
personally.
don't. I'm not trying to compare the two. Please don't take it that
Yeah.
way. I'm just trying to, when I looked at I spent the weekend going through all of what Clea had proposed, and you're right. It was cut and paste. I just wasn't comfortable with the process, and you guys convinced me. It's the citizens' right to do that. So you're correct. But this one, I don't. We're opening up the R60 and setting what you can do in the R60 zone if you've got 3 acres or more, and that's just debatable too about how that's worded. But and that's what I'm struggling with. To me, this is an expansion of an existing bylaw into a zone that wasn't
Which
really
be
talked about with the
beneficial
citizens.
to the town, personally.
What's that? I'm sorry.
Oh, which would be more beneficial to the town, and it's not that. In all honesty, the areas that things that are currently zoned really they're not practical. And I believe that there was entities putting limitations on where they wanted marijuana in the town. So I believe there was a bias there. If you want to have an equal, um, you know, business, I just think it was a lot of a bias. Other towns are doing it. I understand Rutland's the I don't know if it's a morality issue. Why? Rutland voted no and to with the state. You know, so the majority, of when it came to the state vote, Rutland voted it down. The people of Rutland didn't want marijuana in their town, and just and I don't know for what reasons, but at the last meeting that I attended, uh, not to say what meeting, they didn't think that they should put their name, their wholesome name attached to marijuana. And I just thought that that's personal bias. State says it's illegal. If you don't like it, don't buy it. But regulate it, you know.
So Norm, what do we do?
Well,
Norm, Tamika's raised her hand here.
up to Mika.
Norm, if I may, I would just advise, since we closed the hearing, we're really not supposed to be continuing to talk about it. And so I just am concerned that maybe it's getting too much back into the bylaw itself, that I'm afraid we could have a violation, I guess, if somebody wanted to say that.
Okay, I can see your point. But
What do we make for a recommendation?
well, I guess it seems I think this may be reasonable agreement that, so to speak, this is not really ready for prime time.
Yeah.
And I will go back to I think what I said on Cleve's zoning change, that I really feel our recommendation should be based on the merits of the proposal. If there are problems with the merits of the proposal, then I don't see that we can give a favorable recommendation.
Nor, but we could do what we did with the growth management bylaw. Remember, we changed our recommendation to refer it back to committee. We did do that.
But that came from committee. It wasn't a citizen's petition.
If I may, can you clear our merits more? understand the main idea is to bring more revenue into this town. As far as the level,
That
if you have more places to use it, you're gonna have more opportunity for people to get into the business.
I would say that is a merit. However, I would say that allowing businesses in residential districts where we don't allow other businesses is a demerit.
But you can if it's only two people, though. A home occupancy business. See, you can't really say that because you can if it's just two people, which can be done in this business. Two people can grow it, two people can manufacture it, and it's not a great science to make brownies, and only two people can sell it. So to say outright that one or the other, it's arguable. A lot of corporations are getting into this business, but it's not a corporate conglomerate thing. It's a shame that it's going that way, but we're talking an opportunity for the little guy.
Not the way it's written. Therefore, they make a recommendation that we take no action.
Is that a motion?
That's my motion. That's my emotion.
Yeah. Do I have a second?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. Roll call vote. Dick,
Aye.
Marilyn,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Norm, aye. Okay. I am planning to wrap the rest of our agenda up in about 2 minutes.
Good, because Tamika needs to go to bed with her kids.
Yes. Number 8, Maple Hill Estates, we already did it.
Yep.
We have nothing, we have no report on Brice Lemon. We have no report on Brintnal Estates.
Oh, we did, Norm. Or I'm sorry, it's Bear Hill. I apologize, that was Bear Hill.
Yeah. We do have a report on Bear Hill. It's brief. I don't know if anyone wants to comment on it.
Read it. I'm going to take a site walk up there sometime in the near future.
Dick, I think I'm gonna do the same thing because I can get the truck into where Helly's property was and then just walk it from there.
Anything further on Bear Hill?
Nope.
Negative.
Then I'll entertain a motion.
Also moved to close at 10:09 or 10 whatever.
Before you do that, Norm, I got a question. Are we going to schedule a planning board meeting before the town meeting? Just in case, I guess is what I'm saying.
I don't think it would hurt, just in case. Like I say, the only thing is I think maybe, and I know I was looking with hey, is Peter by any chance on?
I see RCTV, but I don't know who that is.
Yeah, probably not. Because we were discussing that at the bylaw committee. The idea of moving the town meeting to Holden. I don't, recall details of whether it was general that any meeting could be moved or whether it was just town meetings.
Okay.
Well, let me ask you this: if the select board has to be at the town meeting and the FinCom has to be at the town meeting, would they be allowed, but other boards and commissions would not, especially ones who have the opportunity and the custom to make recommendations on certain matters, including zoning?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Does.
I
Yeah,
mean, I'll talk to Anita tomorrow, but I'd be hard pressed to understand why there'd be a dispensation for one, but not all that are relevant to the proceedings.
okay. So I guess I'm gonna say, unless Dave finds something contrary, we should post a planning board meeting for, let's say, a half hour or 15 minutes prior to the start of the town meeting.
Yeah,
You're gonna have a selectmen's meeting prior to?
I have no idea.
typically the FICOM and the select board have a meeting a half an hour before. I don't know if it'll be the same this time, but that's a typical procedure.
Yeah.
Maybe we should ask Leah. Leah, is that the plan?
I don't know that we haven't gotten that far, but I would imagine that that's probably the tentative plan, at least for both FinCom and BOS to have that as a placeholder at the very least. And I know planning board in years past often meets right before also, or posts just as a kind of placeholder also in case there's any last minute discussions or anything to have. So yeah, it might be worthwhile to at least consider. But I don't know personally for us if select board's planning to do that. I would assume so, just because that's what has been done, but I haven't heard officially.
Leah, it's something else. And this is more for our board because I'm an out of towner. I never went to Wachusett, know anything about it. And so is there going to be, you know, if Anita or anybody is putting together a plan of how, you know, what, when and how for the meeting?
Yeah, so I think the team that was kind of tasked with making that determination was Randy as moderator and Mike Moriarty from Dispatch. Okay. And I think Anita was involved also. I'm not sure if there was someone else or not, but I know that they kind of were trying to figure out with COVID protocols and safety measures and everything, the feasibility of it all. So I know that that was a consideration for just mindfulness of the fact that oftentimes there's a brief meetings before, but I don't know the details of that. So I just got the posting that we all got earlier in the week, yesterday, that it was officially moved. So we have a select board, haven't met at all. So we haven't had any conversation or anything, but I know that it was on their radar. So Anita or Randy or Mike Moriarty would probably have the details for sure.
Okay. I don't even know where to park, how to get in the place or anything like that. So
yeah, and I didn't go to Wachusett either. I think that I will hope that have signage going up. In the past, I think it's been the entrance kind of across from the old police station, not the one with the red light, but the one closer to Wild Nurseries.
I don't want to rough you up. I was trying to figure it out.
Yeah, no, I think that's good feedback though for all of us to have as far as the logistics, the actual getting there and getting into the building logistics is important. So
1961 when I left.
Oh my gosh.
Just a hint. Wear your hiking shoes. The parking is way up on the hill, and you're climbing down a bunch of stairs or ramps just to get to the building.
Yep.
Oh boy, doesn't sound like it's AAH or ADA, huh?
There is handicap parking.
Hey Dick, I'm borrowing your sign. All right, good enough. Second for adjournment, I guess I'll voice.
Okay.
Discussion. Roll call. Dick.
Aye.
Marilyn.
Aye.
Tim.
Aye.
Sean, you can vote on this one.
Yes, I can. Aye.
Norm, aye. We are adjourned.